Hey, what's up, everyone? How's everyone doing? Hope everyone is having a fantastic Pride Month. Happy Pride. I don't know. I'm excited to see what sort of high level arguments we get this time around. I don't know. It's this topic. If you've been watching this topic at all, this topic is like astonishingly bad in terms of like the level of opposition that you get. Like, I feel like this is like it honestly feels like the tutorial mission in terms of logical fallacies. Like, if anybody wants to get better at identifying logical fallacies, I honestly think that trying to debate people on this topic is like a great way to do it. Just because there aren't really like good reasons to think that being gay is wrong. So what you end up with is all of the bad reasons. You end up with people saying like it's unnatural, it's not normal, that's icky. A lot of the real high tier, hard hitting criticisms, I intuit that it's wrong. Dude, it's just wrong. Um, do I think do I think objective ethics? Like by I you mean you? Um, well, I can't speak for you, but if the question was supposed to be, do I think that objective ethics exist? Yeah, I think I lean that way. Um, I think that there are non-trivial arguments in favor of things like objective ethics. Um, I think to me, like the interesting framework is this for ethics that when we say that somebody ought do something, we're saying that they have a reason to do that. But I think all of our reasons derive from something called the means end relationship. So we have ends, which are broadly understood as like goals, and then we have means to achieve those ends. And if something is a necessary means to achieve your end, we probably want to say something like you have a reason to do that thing. So, okay, let's take an example. Let's say that your end is to graduate college. That's your goal. And the necessary means to graduate from college is to go to your classes. That's the necessary means towards the end that you hold. We would say that you have a reason to go to your classes because your goal is to graduate from college, and going to your classes is necessary to achieve that goal. So that's like kind of like a broad overview on like my views on like normativity, like what are the sources of reasons. I think that they need to come from the things that you personally endorse as your goals. Um, so then the challenge of ethics becomes finding the necessary means, like the means that everybody is committed to holding, either because it's necessary or and basically the way you do that is by identifying the way in which these actions are necessarily committed to everyone's goals. So I think there's like two methods that I think are somewhat compelling for making like the ought claim there. So either you can try to identify like a goal that everybody holds. So for example, maybe everybody holds a good life, living a good life as their goal. And then the necessary means to achieve that is being virtuous. That's what people like Plato and Aristotle and Socrates want to argue. Um, then in that sense, everybody has a reason to be virtuous. They ought to be virtuous because that's necessary to achieve their overall greatest good. But then another place that ethics might derive from, maybe it doesn't depend on like one specific goal, but maybe every goal commits you to valuing the same thing as everybody else. In virtue of having any goal, you're required to value your own freedom and well-being. And then from there, you can point out that in virtue of you valuing this because you're an agent, you must just value freedom and well-being simplicator. Like, in order for you to deem that your own freedom and well-being be valuable, you would need to deem that this is true for all agents because the argument that would get you there applies to everyone. But anyway, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, I currently have nobody in there. Maybe I'll hop over and grab a sip of water or just get my water bottle or whatnot. All right. Hey, if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe that there is something wrong with being gay. And with that, we'll go to the very first guest. Hey, how's it going?
What's up, bro? How are you?
Doing well. How old are you?
31.
Yep. And do you think there's something wrong with being gay?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think's wrong with being gay?
Okay, so there's nothing wrong being a human. Like, we all human, first of all. I want to make sure that I understand. We both have that understanding. So
Mhm.
it means that I do have a respect for you, regardless of like what belief that you have or where you stand in terms of like sexual orientation.
Mhm.
But the only thing that I'm saying there's something wrong with this is like when it comes to like biology. So like how did the universe come about? The Big Bang, you can go around, or if I'm like coming from the religious background, I'm gonna say God created the earth.
You're
And then
yapping.
okay, yeah.
Respectfully, I just want to know, why is it wrong to be gay? Like, what's
Yeah,
wrong with
this
it?
is the last point I'm gonna make. Okay, so what I'm saying is for Earth to sustain and to be able to reproduce, they have to have a male partner and a female partner.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that makes me to exist and for you to exist. So that means if you only saying that gay need to be all over, that means you are
I'm not saying
limiting
that.
reproduction. Okay.
I'm not claiming that everyone needs to be gay. I'm saying that if
Okay.
you are gay, that's fine. I don't think that
Yes.
everyone has an obligation to be gay. If you're
Yes.
not gay, that's also fine. There's nothing wrong with being gay. There's nothing wrong with being straight.
Okay.
I agree that reproduction is going to require a male and a female. I don't know why reproduction requiring a male and a female means that there's something wrong with being gay.
Okay, yeah, I can answer that. So when you say like a child is being born, and then you're gonna tell him as like, oh, you're gonna be gay or you're gonna be straight, that means is you have to be able to think about it. Oh, how am I gonna have a child? How am I gonna bring life to this world? So when you go around, when you say gay, they won't be able to do it. LGBT, most of that group won't be able to reproduce without having XY chromosome from one side and
Yep.
other side,
Yep, that
so
could
this
totally
is
be the
where
case.
is
So
the wrong
what?
is. Hmm?
Yeah, that could totally be the case, everything that you just said. Why would it follow from that that it's wrong to be gay?
So what I'm saying is it's wrong to be gay for reproduction. So I'm not saying it's wrong for you to identify as a person that
I
you
don't
are,
think gay
but when I'm saying
people are
it's
trying
wrong.
to reproduce usually. Some of them
Say-
do, some of them get IVF, or some of them, they donate sperm.
Yeah.
Some of them definitely do that. I don't think a lot of
That's
gay people are
for sure.
trying to do that.
Okay, like for example, I came from a different part of the world. I don't know if you live in America. I grew up in Africa, like
Mhm.
in Ethiopia and in South Africa. Not a lot of people have the resources to be able to do those things that you're doing, the implanting, stuff like that. That means naturally what occurs is when a male and a female partner come together, they be able to reproduce. I know the Western culture have a lot of advancement when it comes to technology, when it comes to the medical. I'm not holding that against them. But what I'm saying is currently where we're standing and Africa and different parts of the world where they don't have that kind of access when it comes to the medical benefit, where the gays or lesbians be able to take advantage of, they won't be able to get that. So that means it is holding people back. That means it is being wrong when it comes to reproduction. But as a human, as a person, you are welcome to do whatever that you want.
Yeah, I just feel like that was, like, pretty non-responsive. I understand that in most cases, a gay couple is not going to have biological children of their own. I'm wondering why that was wrong. I didn't get a very clear answer at
Okay.
all as to why it would be wrong.
Because
But maybe,
that's
whoa, wait, sorry.
sorry.
Maybe we can make some progress like this. Do you think it's wrong to be infertile because you can't have kids if you're infertile?
So when it comes to like you can answer that question, it's like if somebody catches cancer or gets cancer, is he wrong? No, that means he
Oh,
couldn't
sure.
control that.
Sure. So then, if there's nothing wrong with being infertile, even though you can't have biological children, then assuming that gay people can't have biological children, why would that then make it wrong to be gay?
Okay, yeah. So when it comes to like being gay, so you automatically choosing not to reproduce, but that's not your
Being gay
intention.
isn't a choice.
Okay, yeah. So it is a choice. I mean, it's a choice for me to have a partner, a female partner, or not. Don't you have a choice?
Nope. Okay, so let me break this down. Are you familiar? How familiar are you with like genetics? Actually, I'll
very.
just go ahead and give you like the argument. So, okay, when we have identical twins, that is like they share 100% of the same genes.
Yes.
If one of them is gay, there's a 70% chance that the other one will be gay. But let's say that it's non-identical twins where they share only 50% of the genetics. If one of them's gay, there's, I think, like a 30% chance that the other one will be gay. And then just for like a stranger on the street, if that stranger on the street is gay, there's a 2.5% chance that you'll be gay. So as two people get less genetically related to each other, the odds that they'll be gay together goes down. So it seems like there's a really strong genetic basis when it comes to being gay. And of course, we don't choose our genes. So
I
what would you make
That's
of that?
a really good point. Yes, actually, I was like reading about the Darwinism and then about the microscope because I was trying to study about like genetic, about different things. So where I understood this is like they were doing same genetic studies because I grew up in Africa. So they seen that as like there's less influence of LGBTQ or gay community when it comes to African countries without having any genetic.
Well, is it illegal?
Yeah.
Is it illegal?
Okay, you can say some parts are illegal, but there's parts that are legal. Like
which parts are legal?
It's South Africa. You can legally get married. Tanzania, Zimbabwe is one of the worst places. I know they persecute people, kill people for being gay, stuff like that. I know that, but what I'm saying is
it's probably a good reason, right? Like if you're in a place where you're going to get persecuted for being gay, probably you're not going to be very open about the fact that you're gay. So saying like there aren't a lot of gay people where you're from, and I don't know where you're from, like specifically.
I'm originally from Ethiopia. I live in Delhi right now. I live in America. But what I want to say to this is like you brought in the point of we can't choose our genetic. That means is the people that growing up in those countries don't have the higher probability of being gay. That's just genetic. So they're very happy to have a female partner or male partner and be able to get married and go through the traditional route where they don't have the Western culture influence.
Yeah, so I looked it up. I looked it up. In Ethiopia, it's illegal to be gay, and you could get sentenced to 15 years in prison. Of course, there isn't widespread openness about people being gay because they're going to go to prison. So
yes, I do understand that.
It's just not very surprising to say that there aren't like lots of gay people where you're from.
Okay. I respect that. So that's your opinion based on what fact that you saw. So what I'm saying is when I was a kid, I grew up, I was born in 1995 in Ethiopia. So me understanding like outside of the world when I was like 10 or 11 years old, seeing school culture, going to high school, like different things. So you'll be able to pay attention to what's going on around you. Even if your friend is hiding certain kind of emotion about certain, the people do that. So what I'm saying is I never seen any mass gay propaganda that's going on in our country. But here, the propaganda goes from starting from kindergarten, like people try to force and inject this kind of teaching and the kids. That's the biggest problem that you guys have.
So like that's all gibberish, right? But what I'm much more interested in is the idea that you would know that people would be like somehow open with you. Like, why would you possibly expect for there to be a lot of gay people gathering together in a parade in Ethiopia if it's illegal? Yeah, if they're going to get 15 years in prison, why would they possibly do that?
That's a good point. Yeah. So what I'm saying is it's a very taboo thing to be in that country.
Yeah. Well, it's an illegal thing. It's worse than taboo.
Yeah.
It's illegal to be gay. Wait, can we just agree that we actually wouldn't expect for there to be like big public displays of people being gay in the country that you're from
Okay, yeah,
because it's
I respect
illegal.
that.
So then the
Yeah, okay,
fact
I
that you
grew up
don't
in South
see that
Africa. Okay,
isn't evidence against the fact that being gay isn't a choice, because we wouldn't
okay,
expect to see that.
okay, I respect that. So I can use another example. I grew up in South Africa. South Africa is a very progressive country. You can get married in South Africa. You can have a gay, lesbian, any relationship that you want. So that's a very progressive country.
And I bet
But
there are
they
pride
have,
parades there too.
yeah, very, very like I've seen like
Exactly.
a much better progress that's going on in terms of like for people having a freedom to choose what they want to do.
hmm
But the only thing that I'm seeing based on those things is that, like with being in that community, them to reproduce, to be able to have life. The meaning of life is to have life so that you can reproduce and be able to be a servant to the world that gave you. It's not only for you to take.
That sounds like a
Does that
really
make sense?
sad outlook.
I mean, it's a very sad outlook if a person is only coming to this world is like, I'm only here to benefit and take anything that I want. But if
No, you have big obligations to give back to people. But the way
exactly
that you give back to your community is by forming meaningful relations
true,
with all of the people around you. And that
that's
doesn't
very true.
require necessarily having children. But what that does require is, I don't know, spending lots of time with your neighbors, your family members, your friends, your partner,
Can I ask you
all
one
of
question on
that.
that?
Like, yeah, go for it.
So, like, let's say it's like you want the world to continue to reproduce. Do you
hmm
think the best way to go about it is with the LGBT, the gay community, or to be able to have a healthy family that's going to have a female and a male in a household? Which
Yeah,
way
with
is the
respect
best
to
way to?
reproduction, I think that, gay people are just way more likely to reproduce than, LGBTQ people are in general.
Yeah, okay.
But we can make like a parity argument. One thing that I value is eating. I value
Yes.
eating food. Now,
Okay.
what's the better way to get food? If everyone was a farmer or if everyone was a civil engineer? Where would we have more food? Which world?
Okay. You said you like food,
Yeah, I
and
like
then you
eating
said,
food. So let's imagine two worlds. In one of these
okay,
worlds, we're all farmers.
yeah,
In the other world, we're all civil engineers. We design
yeah.
bridges. Which world is the better world with respect to eating food?
I'm sure the place that have like more farmers
Yeah,
because of
exactly.
the
Does
diversity.
does
Yeah.
that mean that it's wrong to be a civil engineer because, I value eating food? And if we were all civil engineers, there would be no food?
Okay, yeah. Like, I like that point. So that's the same thing. So when you go to that the different world where there's no farmers, most of the time is the civil engineers are trying to figure out how to prepare food. They are struggling. Yeah.
In terms of like the civil engineer world? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Compared to the farmers, yeah, the farmers have the easier way
Yes.
of life in
Yes,
terms of to
correct.
be able. So this is what I'm trying to do too with the evolution is evolution says the survivors of the fittest, yeah. So that means it's like if you can't continue to reproduce, that means you won't be able to survive.
Yep,
You
and
won't
if
be
you
able to
can't
be fit.
eat, likewise, you won't survive. Yeah. So
True.
but that's the problem, because under your logic, if we're to take your logic to its
Yeah.
natural conclusion, we would have to conclude that it's wrong to be a civil engineer. Because if we were all civil engineers, then we would all starve to death. But that's
Okay.
obviously false. So just
Yes.
because if we were all gay, there would be no kids, it doesn't follow that it's wrong to be gay. In the same way that if we were all civil engineers, we would all starve to death, doesn't make it wrong to be a civil engineer.
Okay, let me ask you that question. Like, let's say we all tend to be gay in this world. So how long do you think this world is going to exist? Like,
Yeah, probably
how-
like roughly like 1 or 2 generations.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
But let's say, so do you infer from that it's wrong to be gay?
so I like, you see, like I like the live debate that you're doing because your point where argument that you're coming with is very argumentative in terms of like how to go past it, because you're saying that you're taking it everything and you're making it wrong. I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to say it's wrong in terms of like humanity survival, in terms of like what is working currently as
Is it
humanity.
wrong to be a
what we're
civil
doing.
engineer in terms of humanity's survival?
We didn't have civil engineers 2000 years ago. That wasn't very important for our like advancement.
Well, first of all,
human.
yes, you did. There
I
were
mean, with it,
always
I'm
people
sure.
designing things like bridges.
True.
But second of all, even
Not
if we
to the
put,
level of like me existing.
Mhm.
Like, I mean,
if
the
you go back
pyramid.
far enough, it's true that you're not going to have civil engineers. But I mean, I can't help but notice that I didn't really get an answer to the question. It was just like a yes or no question. Do you infer
Okay.
from the fact that we would all die after like 1 or 2 generations if we were all gay, that being gay is wrong?
Yeah.
Like, okay, sure. So how long would we live if we were all civil engineers?
So you just changing it to civil engineers? Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see,
How
same
long
thing.
would we, if every
Uh,
single person
uh,
alive was a civil engineer, how long would we live?
Longer. I think they might even be able to figure out a way of to survive, because there's a difference. Being gay is
Who's
only you
making the
choosing one
food?
way. Eh?
Which person's making the food of the civil engineer?
I mean, so sometimes you don't have to make the food. The food is already there. You can just pick a banana. I grew up in Africa.
Sure.
You can just get
So
orange.
nobody's making the food. Okay.
And then
That's
they just
obviously false. The vast
so
majority
they're
of people would
hunting.
die.
They're hunting. There's different things. So, like, for example, with gays, like, there's no option of like how are you gonna be able to have a baby? You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
And mass.
Yeah. But there's
So with
also no
civil
way for
engineer,
us
there's
to.
a way.
Yeah. Wait. En masse, could we get food as if we're all civil engineers?
Say it one more time.
If en masse, if we're civil
Yeah.
engineers, could we get food?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because of
We could get
how
food
the world.
en masse if everyone was a civil engineer.
Yeah, because of how the world is.
Are you
Because-
kidding?
So
Most food comes from like agriculture, right? Nobody's doing agriculture anymore.
Yeah, yes. So that's true. The only thing that I'm
Like
trying
billions
to add.
of people would die. We would be reduced
Yes.
like well under like 100 million people.
Okay, you are right in that point. So what I want to add on that point is like the universe is designed at least to help you sustain or to be the survivors of the fittest, because of you are civil engineer. Because
But wait,
the
so
world
also
will
we
have a
don't know
lot
how
of
to
land, a lot
forage
of
if we're all
water
civil
to drink,
engineers.
a lot of resource. Sorry.
We won't know how to forage if we're all civil engineers. We won't know what's safe to eat. We're all civil
Yeah.
engineers.
Yeah, but at least you have a survival of the fittest. Evolution says that they're always gonna find a way of like one gene is gonna fight with one gene and is gonna figure out a way of like how they're gonna survive. But when I'm saying is with gays, like there's no survival of the fittest. Everybody dies.
Well, where's
At
the
the
food
same
going to
time.
come from if we're all civil engineers? I don't
That's
know
what I'm
what's
saying.
safe to eat and
Somebody's
what's not safe to eat.
Yes, somebody's gonna go get apple. Somebody's gonna get banana. So the
You know,
universe
things like
automatically is
apples
on
and
your side.
bananas were literally bred selectively. That in a world where there is no selective breeding of things like bananas or selective breeding of things like apples, that this is just straight up not true.
So what do you mean selective breeding? Sorry, I
got you. Bananas before humans. So bananas used to look
I
like
understand what you
way
mean, okay.
different.
Yes, true. Okay, now they try to make sure like it can be sustainable so that they can produce it in mass and like have like, you know what I mean? Where they did genetic editing like a little bit. That's where you go.
Yeah, for reference,
Yes.
this is what bananas used to look like.
True. Yes, I've seen a documentary on it.
Yeah, that's we're not living off of that.
Yeah. Okay, yes. So, but it's still the universe still benefiting you in some way by giving you some resource. But with you is like they're not giving you a womb where you can carry a baby. You cannot just go and ask an animal to carry a baby for you. No.
Yeah, but we're all going to starve to death
providing.
if everyone's a civil engineer. Then we're all going to starve to death. That doesn't make
That's
it
fact.
wrong to be a civil engineer.
Yes, but I'm saying the survival of the fittest, the universe is on your side by providing you some kind of nutrition for you to exist. But with gay is like everybody's going to die at the same time because there's no solution to reproduce. And
Everyone's going to die if you're a civil engineer. You're not going to be able to survive off of these plants that you don't know what they do.
Okay.
You're not a hunter-gatherer. You're a civil engineer.
Okay.
Nobody's doing the hunting or the gathering. Everyone's a civil engineer.
Okay, so can we agree?
How long? Wait, sorry. How long would we live if there were no hunters or gatherers and everyone's a civil engineer?
Yeah, like you're right. Like automatically, life didn't exist without those people.
Cool.
being
Does that make it wrong to be a civil engineer?
No, it doesn't make it wrong.
Okay,
It does
then
make-
why
it
would
make
that
it
possibly make it wrong to be gay?
Yeah,
So
but
you're
it-
saying if everybody were a thing and that leads to the
Yes.
death of humanity,
Yes.
then that thing is wrong. But you
you
just
see that
established that that can't be true, because if everyone were a civil engineer and nobody did hunting or gathering, then we would all die then too.
yeah, so that's the same point that you bring in. So can we both of us agree that, so if everybody's gay or if everybody's civil engineer, that means the world is not going to be a great place to live? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so so the best way to live is to be able to find things that's been working in the past and be able to repeat those things.
So
Yeah.
do you think it's wrong to be a civil engineer?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, wait, then it wouldn't be wrong to be gay because they have the exact same
So
characteristics.
because you saying the fact that, like, if everybody, because we using the point of everybody.
Yep. You both want it universalized, but not universalized.
Okay, like, let me ask you this question. Like, let's say this, like, in this current scenario where we at right now, like, who is the best fit in terms of like raising family, be able to produce somebody who's going to be athlete, who's going to be able to be a productive society to a family? Do you think it's very important to have a strong family unit, or is it good for them to have like, whatever,
Yeah,
like one
that's a
dad,
really
two
great
dads, like,
question.
yes.
Gay people on average are higher income earners than straight
True.
people.
Yeah.
So it seems like they might be able to provide like a more financially stable household.
Yeah, but the current status says that we're not doing that. That means it's like a lot of people in a household, like especially in America, like you look at it as like it's a single household family, like one dad or one mom, stuff like that. That means it's like it's not the best scenario to be able to provide for the kid to
Why
grow up.
not? Is there anything inherently wrong with it?
Yeah. So
Yeah, what's inherently wrong with it?
so I can give you example. So
Yeah.
inherently wrong with it is like for a kid when they're growing up in a household to be able to have the both side, the mom and the dad side of
Yeah,
like
but why is that preferable
upbringing.
to like a gay family?
Yeah.
Why is that
So for
preferable? Yeah.
so for a gay family, so it will always going to be missing the one factor. So the kid have to adjust. That it might not be something wrong. So the universe just
Is there any
provides you that.
empirical data on this? Any empirical data, like studies
Yeah.
that would suggest that
Yes.
the outcomes are worse?
I'm not saying that the outcome are worse to know that the final data, but I know that there's a data that's been done in terms of like kids growing up in a strong nuclear family have a higher
Can I see the
potential
data?
of
What's the data?
Yeah, I can look it up.
Please.
I can. Okay, do you want me to ask? But it's okay. I was gonna type in with ChatGPT so that they can read it. But this is fact. Like you can even like look at it in terms of like any other places. It's like when you're looking at it, it's like people who are successful in terms of the world. Like a lot of people are coming from a strong family background.
I'm still waiting for the study.
Yeah, I'm typing it right now.
Are you just like ChatGPTing it?
No, I'm just gonna Google it so that I can actually go to the website. I was gonna do that because because ChatGPT can actually say it out loud, but I was just gonna type it in. There's one from National Institution of Health, like from the government, like they did in terms of like the study.
Oh yeah, which one? What's the name of the study? Okay, so I have a meta-analysis from the Journal of Family Studies titled
from the National Library of Medicine. So I'm trying to like actually pull up the study. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I have a meta-analysis of 32 studies. This is titled A Meta-Analysis Examining the Relationship Between Parents' Sexual Orientation and Children's Developmental Outcomes. This finds, where is it? The overall effect size of having same-sex parents on the developmental outcomes of children was positive and significantly different from that of heterosexual parents. So it sounds like the children turn out better across various like health outcomes.
Yes.
What's the name of your study though? I don't want to know
Uh,
where it's from, just the name is fine.
you can look at it as like they have like two. Do you want me to give you the PMID number?
Just the name of the study, right? Like the study that I cited is named A Meta-Analysis Examining the Relationship Between Parent Sexual Orientation and Children's Developmental Outcomes. So whatever the name of the study is fine.
Okay, let me actually here. Can I see my camera?
Yeah.
Let me see. I can flip my. Let me see. You see,
Can you just like read out the name of it?
because it didn't have like a name. I don't know why it didn't have. So the question is: Are both parents always better than one parent? Partial conflict in young adulthood.
No, that is the name of the study. Wait. Give
Yeah.
me that.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the name of the study?
I'm a little bit hot in here.
Yeah, just like read that again.
Yeah. Here.
No. Can you just read it out?
Oh yeah. And then it just stops right there.
You
And then
did the
and
name
then data-
did the title cut out for everyone else?
Sorry.
Do it one more time. It just totally cut out.
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
So it did cut out. The sentence does cut out at the end. It says, are both parents always better than one?
Are
That's the
both
study.
parents always better than one? Wait, so specifically we're comparing, this sounds like a study that would be comparing two-parent households to one-parent households.
Yes.
You need to compare two-parent straight households to two-parent gay households.
Okay, so even this is a kind of touches the same subject because it is also missing the one side of the family. But I know what you mean in terms of like two parent. I mean, it's like mom
These are
and
absolutely
mom.
not comparable.
No, mom and mom is different than mom and dad in the household. Yeah.
Yes,
Isn't that correct?
I agree with that. Yeah.
So this
But
is
I need a
just
study that says that mom and mom, like two-parent households, do worse when they're gay than when they're straight.
Okay, yeah, that's a little bit different study. I don't have that study in front of me. I probably can look it up.
Yeah,
But this one,
please.
This one used like almost 2,000 household families and used that data to be able to come up with like this research. And this is from the National Library.
No, that's fine. I'm willing to grant that study is completely correct, but it doesn't matter because the sort of thing that it's
what we're
looking at
talking
is not
about is-
actually like a relevant analogy. The reason why the developmental outcomes are so different is because there's only one parent raising the child. I'm saying that if you have two parents, it doesn't matter if they're gay or straight, that the outcomes will be good. In fact, the meta-analysis seems to indicate that the outcomes are better.
Okay. Like, what study did you use?
Yeah, the study's titled A Meta-Analysis Examining the Relationship Between Parents' Sexual Orientation and Children's Developmental Outcomes.
And then this is using for the LGBT or the gay community?
Yeah.
Or can you please read it one more time?
Yeah, got you. Wait, the title is A Meta-Analysis Examining the Relationship Between Parents' Sexual Orientation and Children's Developmental Outcomes. I'll read the abstract. Despite the Obergefell v. Hodges 2015 Supreme Court decision allowing same-sex marriage, the current political climate has emboldened state legislatures in the United States to push for anti-LGBTQ adoption legislation, some citing that LGBTQ couples have a negative effect on children. This meta-analysis synthesized data from 32 studies on 6 developmental outcomes: child gender role behavior, gender identity, sexual orientation, cognitive function, psychological adjustment, and quality of parent-child relationship. The overall effect size of having same-sex parents and the developmental outcomes of the children was positive and significantly different from that of heterosexual parents. Moderator analyses found that location, socioeconomic status, type of relationship, data publication, and the child's sexual preference were significant. We provide implications for practitioners and policy, as well as recommendations for future area of research. So it's saying that they have a positive effect, that gay people, like,
yes, it didn't give out like a specific data or numbers saying that this is what we see, but it's just saying that like by just looking at it, they seems like they having a better outcome in terms of without like giving out any like social proof, Like, where did they get better in terms of it?
Yeah,
Because,
in this, all this stuff would be included in the study, by the way.
okay, yeah,
I guess I could.
I'll type it in.
One thing that I can
I'll look it
do,
up.
I'll drop it in my Discord. I'm sure somebody will have access to it.
Okay.
Yeah, here it is in live chat. If somebody can. I just dropped it in the live chat. If somebody in the live chat has access to the study, please DM it to me or something, or drop it in the live chat.
Okay, can I ask you
And then we can get the. Yeah, go for it.
Can I ask you another question? Okay, so in terms of like as humans, you agree that everybody's equal, yeah?
Sure.
It doesn't matter if you're gay, lesbian, doesn't matter.
Sure.
We're all humans. Is that the point that you stand on?
Yeah, like in general, like we should be treating people equally. Sure, that everybody has like some intrinsic human value. Yeah.
Yeah, so that means it's like because you're white, you shouldn't get treated better than black, or black shouldn't get treated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to get to that point, because with that point is like when it comes to like the LGBTQ community, so they are requiring for special treatment in terms of
what's the special treatment that LGBT people want?
Yeah, I'll bring it up. So in terms of like how they want to be identified and how other people need to identify them. In terms of like me, I didn't know you. I was just swiping on TikTok and I just ran across you, and like I like the topic and I like how you conversing, and then I just hopped on to be able to have a conversation with you. But you didn't try to force me to identify you this way. Even if you're gay or you stand in whatever belief, you don't have that urge to be like, oh, you need to do this for me. So one of the things that's holding me back from that community is that, so now they're taking it to the extra level in a way of like, yo, I want, this is how I identify. I feel happy. I feel pure based on this belief that I have. But I want kids to understand this belief. So this is where the injection of this ideology,
like what?
coming
Who
down.
says this?
I mean, okay, like for example, that don't you think the LGBT community is the biggest one when it comes to having disagreement when it comes to like how they need to be identified?
No, not necessarily. I think everybody wants to be identified correctly. I think if people commonly mistook you for a woman, you might get uncomfortable about that.
For sure.
You know, that might make you feel insecure.
For sure. But so that doesn't mean that like every person is making something wrong. So you going with the transgenders. The transgenders have.
Are you pivoting? Where are you pivoting?
No,
We're talking about gay people.
Exactly. So you changed it to, but with gays, I don't see this problem where they want to be identified.
How is this relevant to like whether or not there's something wrong with being gay?
So this is where it is, because you are part of this community, the LGBT community.
This is like a crazy pivot.
So because this
I just want to know what's wrong with being gay. I don't want to know what's wrong with being trans. I want to know what's wrong with being gay.
Okay, so you are currently being in the same group with LGBTQ community that is forcing kids to have certain kind of books to be part of their school, and then also
forcing them. You know, you're not forced to take the book, right? Like you can just not read the book if you don't want to read it.
Yeah, but the teacher have the power to implement that, not the student.
Do they? Is this happening?
Yeah, it is happening. Like,
yeah, can I get is there like some sort of data on this? Like data as opposed to anecdotes? I mean, I'd be curious as to how this is happening in a way that isn't happening for like straight couples, you know. I had to read books where there were straight couples in the books. I don't think that me having to read books where there are straight couples in the book is me being like forced to understand straight people. So if the only example is like there are books wherein gay people exist, I'm not really sure why I would think that that's like people being forced to understand gay people. I'm also skeptical that this is like anything widespread at all.
It is widespread. That's why like Democrats and Republicans are like most of the time having this disagreement is because of this. And then also the fact that it's like you want to make sure that like you disfigure people before they are 18 to make those kind of decision, or be able to feed certain kind of hormone while they still not fully develop in their mind. and then to force them
You're
to
speaking
get
of
educated.
trans people still. Why are you like terrified to discuss gay people?
So this is that's
You
why I'm
keep
saying
trying to
this is-
pivot. Stop. Is there a
so
reason why being gay is wrong? And if so, what is it?
okay. So let me let me answer this this one more time. So something wrong with being gay
Yeah.
is the number one thing that I'll say is the community that you are being associated with is giving a very distasteful taste to everybody.
Okay, so it literally is just like a pivot to separate things. Like you can't identify anything inherently wrong with being gay. Is there
Okay, yeah,
anything inherently wrong with being gay?
yeah, the second one is no reproduction. So that means you won't be
Okay,
able to
so
reproduce.
it's also wrong to be infertile then, because infertile people can't reproduce.
So it's the same thing that's saying that if there is a mentally health, like sick person kills somebody, like you saying that like the universe is wrong with that
Is
because
it
we didn't have
wrong to be
anything to do with
infertile?
that.
Is that wrong? Because I don't think it's
Yeah.
wrong to be infertile, but if you're saying it's wrong to not reproduce, then you'd have to say that it's wrong to be infertile because they can't reproduce.
So you there's a difference between intentionally not being infertile and then intentionally being fertile. There's one where the universe is making you one, and then the other one is like you choosing not to do that.
Gay people
you
don't
choosing not to
choose to be
produce.
gay. You already lost this point.
No, you choosing not to be fertile. That means you can have sex with a female while you're being gay so that you can have a child. Yeah.
Being gay isn't a choice. We
Yeah, so,
already
but
established this earlier.
Yeah, but it is a choice for you to have children or not. Yeah.
You can't, if you are gay, it's probably beyond your control to
That's
will
not sure.
yourself to have sex. Like, for example,
No,
you know,
you
I'm
can
not
implant phase-
attracted
let's talk about
to
different
males
technology.
typically, or like male genitalia. I don't think that I have a choice to be attracted to that, or even really to like engage in an act. I think there would be too many like mental blocks preventing me from doing that. Similarly, for gay people, they can't choose to be attracted to the opposite sex.
Okay, let me ask you this. So, but they can.
There's like nothing they can do about that.
But they can choose to reproduce or not. Yeah. So that means you brought up how technology advanced in America, where they can go in the different routes so that they be able to reproduce. That's how you counter my argument, saying that we can do that. But now you choosing not to do that. That is something wrong. Yeah.
If being gay was a choice, then why wouldn't people who are in anti-gay communities just choose not to be gay?
Okay, so like, and then what? So if there's something being gay is okay, cool. So why are you adding? I'm not gonna have a child. So why does that have
Do you want to
do with
answer
it?
the question, or are you like physically incapable?
No, I'm answering your question with the same
What question do you think I asked you?
So you just asked me the question about like the gay people, why they choosing to stay in that community.
No. People who are born into anti-gay communities who are themselves gay. Like, let's say you're born into like a deeply Catholic community and you yourself are gay, and it's strictly forbidden to be Catholic and gay.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they just choose not to be gay? There are certain Catholics who are gay and they spend their entire life just not having sex with anyone because they know that they can't have sex with women because they're gay. But you know, they never choose to go out there and like try to have sex with them.
So you're talking about the priest touching kids and also
No, what the fuck are you talking about?
So what are you talking about, the Catholics?
I'm talking about like there are some Catholic men, for example, who are gay, but because it's forbidden to be gay in Catholicism or engage in like gay behaviors, they just don't have sex with anyone. They're celibate their entire lives.
Okay, I respect that. Okay, so you saying that they choose to be gay, so that means they don't have. So they not choose. They are gay, but sorry, they are gay and they also Catholic, and then their religion is forbidding them from having sex, especially with a male, because that's against the law and the Bible. So you saying that those people. So why those people are choosing to remain gay? Because
they're
while
celibate
so
their
many
entire
things
lives,
is going against it. Okay, I like that point. That's a really great point. It's the same point that you can bring up as like when somebody have a strong belief in terms of like what they stand for, they're willing to die for it, no matter what circumstances, whatever belief that you give them. This is where I stand. And then also when it
But
comes
how would
to
you
like
explain that, right? If being gay is a choice, why wouldn't they just choose to be straight in a circumstance like that instead of
uh, uh,
celibate?
okay, for me it's like I will use this point as all of love and freedom. So that means you love whoever you want to love, and you have the freedom to do what you want. And
But
then
they
that
want to be
is
straight and they're
the
not.
big, yeah, but God gave them that free will to be able to make that choice, and then they have the willingness of to
Then why
choose
wouldn't
whatever that they
they?
want. Huh? Why wouldn't they just
Are
like
you
because
saying that these people like don't exist? That there aren't like
no, no,
Catholics
no,
who are
they
just
do.
celibate their entire lives because they're gay and they just
No, no.
choose like they can't express it. So
So you bringing up that point is like, okay, only few Catholic people they're not having sex and then they're not reproducing. That means because they are Christian, they're also not following Christian values. It's the same thing that you saying that majority of gay people they're not reproducing. So that means you saying that a lot of them are wrong for
okay, I think
not
this
being
point
able to.
probably just went like entirely above your head. In fact, I think I'm probably just gonna move on to the next guest. I don't know. What a slog, dude. All right. Joe, thanks so much for the super chats. Joe White, thanks so much for the super chat. By what mechanism could the entire human race become gay? This argument makes no sense. Yeah, I think it. Oop. Content warning. Oh, okay. Uh, by what mechanism could the entire human race? Okay, yeah. Typically, there isn't like a mechanism. It's like a hypothetical. But I think it's fine. Like I think it's fine engaging with the hypothetical. I just don't think the conclusion follows like pretty trivially. Sonos Percussion, thanks so much for the 50 gifted memberships. 50 gifted memberships is like $150 or something. That's like a huge amount of money. Let's get a big W for Sonos Percussion. I really deeply do appreciate that. That's really, really cool. Let's get a big W for Sonos Percussion. Mr. Maniac, thanks so much for the super chat. A priest walks into a bar only to immediately fall to the ground. The guy holding the bar drops it to help the priest up. I think I don't get it. I think that one went above my head. Sorry. All right. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on?
Yep. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Yep. And do you think there's something wrong with being gay?
Well, so you used a straw man argument earlier when you were talking about social engineers.
It was a yes or
And
no
my
question,
problem-
to be clear.
My
Is the answer
problem with
yes or
that was
no?
no. But my
Okay,
problem
you
with
don't think
that
there's anything wrong with being gay?
no. But my problem with your
Okay. Well, I'm only looking to debate with people who disagree with the prompt. So if you don't disagree with the prompt, don't request to join. It's like pretty trivial. Okay. Well, if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you do think that there's something wrong with being gay. If that's not you, then simply don't request to join. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Yep. How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay. And do you think there's something wrong with being gay?
Yeah, you're a Jewish faggot.
Oh, wow. Sounds like you're incapable of even having the discussion. So instead of actually trying to like engage in like some sort of argumentation or give like some sort of reason, you just have to like blow your brains out rhetorically. Hey, how's it going?
It's okay.
Yeah, how old are you?
26.
Yep. Do you think there's something wrong with being gay?
Maybe that there might be. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. What do you think might be
So-
wrong with being gay?
Well, like. So I don't know if this would work, but like, so there, when you look at like a watch, there might be different things that you can like use a watch for, but the primary use that watch would be.
Okay, people are saying that this person is like a specific like known bad actor. Hey, how's it going? Xavier, are you there? Xavier, are you there? Okay, well, I currently have nobody requesting to join. Whoa, I guess we have one person requesting to join. Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good. What's up, man?
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 16.
You gotta be 18 or older. If you're in that guest request box, you gotta be 18 or older, and you gotta think that there is something wrong with being gay. If that's not you, then don't request to join. Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Yep, how old
Yeah,
are you?
I'm 18.
Yep, and do you think there's something wrong with being gay?
Yes, but I have nothing to. Well, no, but for this argument, I will say yes.
Oh, well, I'm not interested in you like LARPing homophobia. Okay. I mean, listen, if you're in that guest request box, you got to be 18 or older. You got to think that there is something wrong with being gay. I don't even know why somebody would do that. Hey, how's it going?
Hello?
Yep. Yep.
I
How
don't know
old
why
are
I
you?
joined. I'm sorry.
Okay. You don't know why you joined? Well, I don't know why you joined either. Okay. Well, you know, back to zero. We have nobody requesting to join. So if you want to debate this topic, if you think that there is something wrong with being gay and you're 18 or older, feel free to request to join. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to yap. I'm gonna fill the space with some yapping. I don't know. I think that I kind of like this topic because I think that this would be like a good topic to get answers down on. And then from there, I think that it would be like a really good topic to like practice things like rhetoric or like presentation because all of the arguments are like really easy. Okay, on to the next one. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? I think it's wrong.
You gotta be 18 or older. Hey, how's it
Hey,
going?
what's up? How are you?
Doing well. How old are you?
50?
And do you think there's something wrong with being gay?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think's wrong with being gay?
I think it's something unnatural.
Okay. So do you think like debating on TikTok is unnatural?
No.
You think debating on TikTok is natural?
Yeah.
So what's natural about debating on TikTok that wouldn't be natural about being gay? Like, what do you mean when you say natural? Like, what's the definition that's going to include debating on TikTok but exclude being gay?
Well, it's just two different topics.
No, I agree. But you're saying that one of them falls in the category of natural and then one of them falls outside of it. When you say
Right.
that something is natural or unnatural, what do you mean?
Well, with that answer, if social networking or social speaking is something natural when you
Mhm.
like you get a phone or an intercom. Unnatural is, when I say unnatural, is same-sex intercourse or same-sex marriages, and I find that unnatural. It's not,
Yeah,
you
but I want to
can't.
know, what do you mean by unnatural? Like, what
Well,
makes
that's exactly
something
what I mean.
unnatural?
That's
Surely by
exactly what I mean.
unnatural, you don't just mean, you know, same-sex intercourse.
Okay, let's say the same question on a dog male with another dog male.
hmm
If you see them having doing something that is not natural for them to do. For example, a male dog will get a female dog to have puppies. If you see both males doing that, you will see it as unnatural. Then that's what I mean by saying it's unnatural.
I don't know why I would think that that is unnatural. I mean, probably if your dog is humping another dog, you should like stop them. But I'm not sure why it would
Well,
be
that's
more
exactly the same
unnatural for
answer.
them to be humping a male dog than it would be for them to be humping like a female dog.
Well,
I'm not
yeah,
really
what
sure why I would think that either one of those things is unnatural.
well, it is. If you say that,
Why? What makes
because you're
something
saying
unnatural? Like in
you're
virtue of
saying
what?
Because you're saying that if we see a male dog with another male dog doing humping each other, you will stop it because it's
Yes. Same
unnatural.
thing. Well, no. Same thing with a female dog and a male dog. Like, presumably,
No,
if your dog is
you never
humping another
stop that.
dog, you don't stop your dog from humping like female dogs.
No,
The fuck is wrong with you?
nothing. That's just something normal a male dog would do when a female dog is in heat.
I don't know. I think that's like pretty crazy.
Well, depending if it's a Chihuahua female dog and it's a German Shepherd dog, male dog, you will stop it because that's something. Yes, it will fall into an unnatural scene because it's a small little puppy or a small little Chihuahua female with a big German Shepherd dog. Not because of just because of the genetics, it will be something unnatural.
Yeah,
That's what I mean by
you can
unnatural.
probably just skip all this. I don't care. I'm not gonna be convinced unless you have like some reason to think that it's like fine to
Well,
let your dog go around like humping other dogs.
scientifically,
Like that's crazy.
well, scientifically unnatural when a male man has sex with another male man,
hmm
it stops their valves from doing their regular course on a week.
I don't know what you're
Which you're
saying.
supposed to go to the bathroom every day after you eat.
Oh, ooh, after you, I don't think it strictly
Yeah,
needs
or
to be
after you eat,
eat.
or let's say every day. Let's say, for example,
Okay.
every day you're supposed to go to the bathroom so that your valves have a natural way out. When you
Okay.
have intercourse with another male, you stop that. It means that you put yourself or that person puts themselves in jeopardy because you're not going to the bathroom, and what you're doing is you become a constipated person, and that is hazardous to the person. So I will say that
You got any
that's unnatural.
source? Did you just make that up, or is that
Nope.
like something you've?
No,
Okay, so
I
you're
didn't make it
saying
up.
gay sex causes
In males, yes.
constipation?
In males, yes. In males.
No. I googled it and it turns out no.
Well, you're asking a computer.
Yeah.
The
Do you have?
computer
I
doesn't
guess
have
like
sex.
well, but the people who wrote the articles do. The people who are interviewed for the articles that are on the computer do.
You're asking a web search. You're asking a search engine.
How'd you come up with it? Was it just vibes?
No. This is something that is proven by male men that have had intercourse, and
Which
they
ones?
say this happens to me.
Which one?
Male men that I know.
Which ones? Do you have any like studies?
Oh, I wouldn't say I do. No,
Okay.
I'm not a doctor. I'm just answering your question. You're saying if there's something wrong, and I say yeah. But I don't know if I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just saying I'm answering your question. I find it
Yeah.
unnatural.
Well, I understand that you find it unnatural, but you're unable to actually point to the feature that makes it unnatural.
Well, if you don't feel that you were purposely brought to this world to have other people have other little baby boys or have other little baby girls, and you believe that you are just here, your mom and your dad brought you to this world for you to be the only one and for you to die and not reproduce, that's your problem. That's your opinion, and that's the way I see it.
Why
It's
would it be
unnatural.
wrong to not want to have kids? Like, why is that wrong? What reason does a person who doesn't want to have kids have to have kids?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. But in order for you to have let's say, for example,
I
I'll go back
suspect
to
it's
an
not going to
animal.
get an answer, but
Yeah, but I'll go back to an animal, right? Let's say you get a little fish on a little thing in your home, and you get another female fish. The reason or the purpose for you to put those two fishes in that bowl is for them to reproduce. Unless you don't want to do that, then you put a single fish in there. And I don't believe mommy and daddy made you for you just to be not to have any other kids. I believe, at least me, this is my personal opinion, Ian, right? I believe that when your mom and your dad when they first met, they got together, they planned out a marriage, they planned out a family, and when they had you, Ian, they this is me. I don't know your parents. I'm just believing because I have children of my own. Every parent that has a baby, you project yourself and you say, man, if it's a girl or a boy, when they have their children, I'll have my grandkids with them and I'll go hang out with
Mhm.
them and I'll have my great grandchildren. It's
Well,
just an
I mean, I
answer.
grant that like you probably project yourself onto like a lot of different
Of
things,
course.
but yeah, no, that's just not true for my parents or for my girlfriend's parents, who have both told us individually that they don't care whether we have grandkids or not. They're open
Wow.
to it. They don't necessarily want it. Like my
They're
girlfriend's
open to
mom
it
told
though.
her that she doesn't want to be
Yeah.
raising the grandchildren if we have grandchildren. They're open to it. They don't necessarily
Understood.
want it.
Yes,
What
understood.
what you're saying that everybody has children, wanting those children to have children, that's just not true. And if I were to have children of my own, which one day I want children, but if I were to
Mhm.
have children of my own, I would want them to do what brings them the most fulfillment. If they don't
Yes.
want to have kids, then they shouldn't. I don't think
No,
that
but
you should have kids
that's
if you
what I'm
don't want to
saying.
have kids.
Well,
So
that's
that's
what
just
I'm
not
saying.
true what you said.
No, what I said was, I said that when my children and every parent that has, you said your parents were open to it. They didn't
Yeah.
say that they didn't want you to have children. They're open to the idea, meaning since you were born, they were open to the idea.
Yes.
If you decide, that you don't want to have children, that's you.
Yes.
The only individual out of 6 billion people that don't want, or maybe more.
Except all the
But
other ones, right? Like tons
right.
of people don't want to
But
have
what I'm saying
kids.
is, I find it unnatural on a
Okay.
gay
What
person
about that is unnatural?
because because it's just something not natural. It's just
Gotcha.
something
Very
that is
informative. Do you have like a real definition of unnatural, like a real criteria, or is it just like like the vibes are off, and that's what
no.
makes it
Well, I don't know,
unnatural?
man. I just joined because you accepted me, and I'm giving you answers.
Yeah.
If you don't wish to continue me
That's fine.
being
No,
in
I
your,
do wish to continue
it's okay.
talking to you. I just want to know what your criteria for something being unnatural is. Is it literally just vibes? Like,
No,
how do you
no.
how did you determine that debating on TikTok is natural? Like, what sort of criteria did it fall
Well,
under?
that's a good question. Well, I decided to join this one out of all the ones that I see because I see that you're a young person and you're asking questions and you're asking, and I see that you erased a couple of people or you just discarded some of the people that didn't answer you what the question was, and I said I'll just give him the blunt
Mhm.
answer, yes. But it's not that I want to convince you or that I find it unnatural. Yes, in some
Do you
ways you
remember the
will
question
find
that I asked
unnatural.
you?
No, yeah, but you will find unnatural to
Wait,
speak with someone you
sorry.
don't know.
Wait, what question did I ask you? Do you remember? I have
Yeah,
no idea how
if
to
there's
answer
something
that.
wrong with being gay, that was your first
No,
question.
no. The question that I asked you just now, not like
Yeah,
10 minutes ago, was
yeah.
how did you determine that there's nothing unnatural about debating on TikTok?
Well, I'm giving you the answer.
Yeah.
It is natural to speak with someone, and
Okay.
there may be some topics that are unnatural to me to speak about because I don't know a lot of stuff, about what I want to. I can't speak about birds, or I can't speak about furniture, or I can't speak about painting because I don't know any of those topics.
hmm
But I can speak on this one because I have family members that were, and I find that is a very interesting
Yeah.
topic, and this
Do
is
you
the
think
reason why I find
TikTok
it
itself is
unnatural.
natural? Do you think
Well,
TikTok is like a
it's a
natural
funny
mode of
algorithm.
communication?
It's a funny algorithm, and it's
Mhm.
one of the ones that's making the most money right
Yeah,
now.
but is
Yeah,
it natural? Is TikTok as a mode of communication natural?
it's natural to
Okay.
this day and age. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
sure.
natural.
So you think it's like when you say natural, you're kind of just talking about like the percentage of people that do it?
It's natural. It's natural, meaning it's something that is common to do now. Yeah,
Okay, so you would say like playing frisbee golf is unnatural.
frisbee golf is, yes, it's something unnatural. Yeah,
Okay,
because
do you think
golf
it's
is one
wrong
thing
to
and
play
frisbee is
frisbee
another.
golf?
No, well, frisbee is one thing and golf is another. If you want to include both of them into one game, you could do it like soft golf, like soccer, golf ball. It's two different games that you include to. It's something unnatural.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
sure.
would
So do you
agree.
think it's wrong to play frisbee golf?
It's a good question. I wouldn't know.
You don't know whether or not there's something wrong with playing frisbee golf?
I wouldn't know. No, because I've never played it and I don't know about it. No, I have
Yeah,
to see
it's
the game. I'll have to see the game. I'll have to see what it entails, and if I see that it's something that is
it's
not
the
natural,
putter
I'll
and the
say it's
9
unnatural.
iron, not the hammer and the, I don't know, the disc, you know.
hmm I've never seen the game. I
It's
don't remember
disgusting that
hearing
they've
about it.
mixed frisbee with golf.
I've never seen the game. I don't even know if that game exists.
Okay, it does. I'm telling you that it does.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't know how to play it because frisbee goes into something, a cage or something, and how would you put it in a hole? So
That's
yeah, I would call it unnatural.
no, you got it. Like the cage is frisbee golf. That's what. Yeah. That you got it. I think you actually do know what it is. Yeah, you have
Okay.
like the little courses, and then you throw the frisbee into the cage, and then you go to the next place, and then you throw the frisbee into the cage. You don't
Okay.
know about it because not very many people do it.
Okay, well, yeah, I wouldn't find it unnatural. No, I've
Okay,
seen it. Yeah,
but not very
I
many
thought that
people
you
do
meant
that.
not that many people do it. No,
Yeah, isn't the criteria for something being unnatural is that it's like unpopular?
no, you're just putting you're trying. I mean, at least me. This is my personal
Mhm.
opinion. You're trying to bring something together to find a way into finding or into making this topic that being gay is not wrong, or at least getting my answer into saying that I'm saying something natural and unnatural, and trying to convince me and saying no, you're making unnatural a topic and you're making natural another, and being gay has nothing to do with natural and unnatural. So I'll get another word in instead of natural and unnatural.
Yeah,
I think being gay is wrong. Is that better?
because of what?
Wrong.
What makes it
It's
wrong?
wrong.
Yeah, in
Because
virtue of what?
you're not supposed to do that.
That's
You're
kind of
not
the thing in
supposed.
question, right?
No, you're not
What it
supposed to.
means for
I
something to be
believe.
wrong is just that everybody has a reason to not do it.
Right.
That
I
is to
believe
say,
that.
like the things that you shouldn't do, strictly
Yeah.
everybody, regardless of their goals, those things are the things that are wrong.
Right.
But
And they're
what
wrong.
reason does a gay person have to not be gay?
I believe personally, a person that's gay has been traumatized. Either they were raped when they were a child, or they were abused when they
Yeah,
were a
that's just
child.
false. There's lots of gay
Well,
people where that doesn't happen to them. There's lots of straight people who
and
do
you're
go through
right.
those things and then don't turn out, straight or don't turn out gay. That's like
Yeah, and
just
there's also
false.
and
There's
there's
no
also
evidence of
there's
that.
also yeah, and there's also people that they just start to incline into doing things like, for example, doing cocaine is wrong. Now that we're using the word wrong and not natural
Mhm.
and unnatural, doing cocaine is wrong. Smoking cigarettes is wrong. Drinking liquor is wrong. It looks good. It looks good to the eye. It looks pleasing uh, when you see a bottle of liquor. But after a while, your liver is gonna give up, and you're gonna have cirrhosis for drinking liquor so much.
Yeah,
And your lungs, if you
I don't
smoke.
agree with that. I don't agree with any of that.
Oh,
It's
I'm
about
sorry
how
if
it
you
fits
don't.
into your life. I don't think that there's
No.
anything inherently wrong with any of those three things. I think that
Okay.
you can stand in a relationship to any of those three things that is wrong. I think that you have an obligation to yourself to put things that are pleasurable in their proper place in your life. You have an
Mhm.
obligation to have, if you are going to partake in something like the first substance that you talked about, I think that you
Mhm.
have an obligation to do so very carefully because it's very addictive. You have an obligation to not be addicted. Same thing with the other two. But I don't think that there's anything wrong if you use it occasionally and you never get
Mm.
addicted to it.
Yeah, well, that's the same reason why you will say that you started stealing, or you started getting a quarter from your room or from your living room when it wasn't yours, and you started from that quarter you started taking $1, and then from that $1 you started taking the $5, and then you started
Yeah,
taking
that's
10,
addiction. You're
and then you
describing
and
addiction.
right, and then your parent comes
Yeah,
and
you
sits you
shouldn't do
down and says,
that.
"Hey, wait a minute, I had a $5 bill here," and then you say, "No, you have an obligation to have a moral, a moral self of to be self-aware morally. You have an obligation to be morally correct,
Yeah, I
or you
agree.
have an obligation to be morally right. That means that you're not going to take money from your parents,
Yeah,
and
I
when they
agree
find
with
out
that.
that you're going to be chastised. So
Yes, I
I believe
agree.
personally,
Don't do that. Yeah, for sure.
that cocaine, when you say you have an obligation, I believe that sooner or later, whether you have an obligation or not, you're going to find out that it's wrong, because it's going to do it just like a mileage to a car.
That's
You
just
could
not
say I'm going to
true.
buy you could say I'm going to buy a car and I'm going to leave it with 0 miles, and it's going to create value because it has 0 miles, but sooner or later somebody that buys it is going to put miles on it, and it's going to devalue the value of the car that with 0 miles. So it's the same thing with your body. Your body has a value in itself, that what you put into it and what you do to it around it, whether it be you taking money, whether you're taking cocaine, or you're taking liquor, or you
Oh
having
yeah, I just can't do it. This guy's like too stupid. It's too much for me. Okay, we're moving on to the next one. Sonus Percussion, thanks so much for the 500 ARS. How much is an ARS so I can know how to 500 ARS to USD. Oh, 35 cents. Well, you do donate quite a bit in terms of memberships. So P1, there's a glitch when gifting memberships from Argentina that make it cheap to buy. Oh, P2, I'm poor. Conclusion, try to help the channel. Cheers from Argentina. Well, I appreciate that nevertheless. White, thanks so much for the 1 month membership. Happy Pride Month, Ian. Thank you for what you do. Happy Pride Month to you as well. Ice Reptilian, thanks so much for the super chat. Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month to you as well. Eat Some Shorts, thanks so much for the super chat. Mailman poop all the time. I'm not sure I get it. Ice Reptilian, thanks so much for the super chat. I don't want to have kids due to not wanting to pass on my poor genetics to my kid. Also, I don't think I'd be a good parent. It's not fair to them. Yeah, I think those are all valid reasons to not. I don't know. My girlfriend is like a genius, and that's one of the reasons why. I don't know. I think it would be cool to have a kid with her. It would feel wrong to not, but I think it's like a question of like whether or not. I don't know. It's like a question of whether or not you want to be a parent. If you don't want to be a parent, then probably don't do that. Game Guy, thanks so much for the super chat. Imagine giving an example of homosexuality in nature and then claiming that it's unnatural, SMH. Literally. Rod Blow, thanks so much for the super chat. You cannot go against nature, because when you do go against nature, it's part of nature too. From No New Tale to Tell, a brilliant song by Love and Rockets. Yeah, I mean, I think that there are like a couple of criteria for what it means for something to be unnatural or natural. But I think what you're going to find is that either the thing just isn't wrong, like it's just not wrong to be that, or being gay fits under it. And sometimes both. Sometimes people will say like, well, being gay is wrong, or like, natural is like the stuff that you don't choose, and then unnatural is the stuff that you do choose. It's like, okay, obviously that's not going to be a good criteria for right and wrong, because you can choose a lot of things that are wrong. And also gay people don't choose to be gay. So it like double doesn't work. Grimmy, thanks so much for the super chat. Ask if blacksmithing is nature, might help as it pertains to the creation of something outside of nature. Please, this guest is so confused. Ellis Country Audits, thanks so much for the super chat. Car crashes are deadly, therefore driving is bad. True. No driving allowed. Many Black, thanks so much for the super chat. Watermelon or mango? Watermelon. Good question. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older, and make sure that you think that there is something wrong with being gay as we go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Yep. How old are you?
25.
Yep. And do you think there's something wrong with being gay?
Um, it depends really. If you're a Christian, then yes, there's something wrong with it. But if you're of the world, then no, because the world's going to tell you like everything's subjective. So like how that one guest said, like the disc golf thing was unnatural, and then you got him to say like, oh, it's because it's popular. Like
Mhm.
then anything could be natural eventually.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think like natural is like a very silly criteria. But so kind of the implication in Christianity is that if something is of the world, that there's like a reason to not do it that's intrinsic to the thing. Unless you're like, I don't know, like a strict divine command theorist and you think that the reason like God saying to do something or to not do something, like literally somehow gives us a reason to. You can take like one of two views in the Bible. I think you can either say, well, God tells you to do all these things because there's like some sort of like objective like goodness and like an objective standard, and God is just informing you basically what that standard is. And it would be good even if God didn't inform you of it. The alternative is that you could say, well, God just subjectively tells you to do certain things, and then somehow God subjectively telling you to do these things gives you a reason to. But the second one feels super implausible. So I don't know. Which of those stances do you take, if any?
One more time for me on the second one.
So the second one is just if God tells you to do something, then just the fact that God told you to gives you a reason to do that thing, even if there wasn't a reason prior to God telling you.
Like that would make God's instructions good or bad? Is that what you're getting at? Or wrong
Yeah,
or
yeah.
correct?
Specifically, I'm focusing more on like the reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say something is good,
Yeah,
we're saying
so
that we have like a reason to do it. I'm wondering where
mm-hmm.
is this reason? Does the reason exist
Yeah.
like
Well, in the
after
Bible
God
it
tells
says
you, or
like
does
only
it?
God
Yeah,
is good. So I would say like going against his word would be not good because it would say he's only good.
yeah. But what I'm more curious about is like, where does the reason that we have to do what God tells us to come from? Is it
Oh, okay. I see
independent
what you're
of?
getting at.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where it goes into like morality.
yeah.
So we kind of get a lot of our morals from the Bible. I mean, we've been trying to, yeah, actually, that's my basis actually for a lot of it is morality, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but so okay, maybe I'll pose it in like the typical way. Do you think that God tells you to do these specific things because it's independently good to do them? Or do you think that the fact that it's good to do the things that God tells you is only true because God told you to?
I mean, it's good to follow God's instructions no matter what.
Hmm.
Whether like that's his the Bible is like his word. So it's good to read his word, understand it. I
I
don't
I get
understand
that,
where
but
your
it
hiccup
doesn't
is.
it doesn't really answer the question. So, okay.
Of nothing wrong. Okay, yeah, well that's where I just said where we get the morality of. And then if you look at like the grand scheme of things, because Christians believe that this life is only temporary and there's eternal one afterwards. So in the grand scheme of things, in the Christian sense, you're kind of like burning the candle from both ends when you could have an eternal candle.
Well, I get that, but I'm still trying to get clear on like Christian ethics and like its relation to normativity. Um,
As to what? Normativity to what?
so normativity refers to like the reasons that we have for action. I'm trying to get clear on where in like the chain of being do these reasons come from? Is there like, okay, the things that God tells us to do, were they good things to do before God told us to do them?
Some things, yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
But then you'd say like some things that's not the okay, sure. So maybe you take like a
Because he's
mix.
created everything. So like it isn't like he didn't say, oh, like thou shalt not murder, and then that's when it started to be bad to murder. It's always been bad to murder.
Do you think so in terms of like being gay, do you think that it only became bad to be gay when God said don't be gay, or do you think that it was
No,
already
no.
bad?
I think it was already bad, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I
What
mean,
about it made it
in
bad?
specific, also, he doesn't say like don't be gay. He's talking about homosexuals not entering the kingdom of heaven, and then that's where like the whole Christians are trying to debate about. You know, morally it's wrong. Not even like morally it's wrong to be gay, because you're not even really hurting people's like physically, but like in the grand scheme of things, you kind of are hurting them physically, because this body will be resurrected and then we will have been judged accordingly
Mhm.
to the
Yeah.
Bible.
Why didn't I guess like what explains the fact that God said that we shouldn't be gay? Like why would God
What
say that?
explains
Yeah, in your view?
why would God say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't tell you. I don't know God's mind, but he tells us a lot of things.
Okay, well then it's not clear what reason any gay person would have to not be gay.
Well, I just told you, like, that's why, from the world sense, if you're part of the world, then you won't feel anything, because it's not wrong to be gay, because everyone's going to say it, and then, you know, nothing bad's going to happen of it in the moment. But from a Christian's point of view, it is wrong, because this world is only, well, not this world, this time frame in this world is temporary,
Mhm.
and there will be an eternal life afterwards, and eternity is forever, and this is only temporary.
Yeah.
And
By any chance, do
you'd
you know
want to
which
be on the good side.
do you know which verses say that you shouldn't be gay?
Yeah, let me go to Romans real quick.
Yeah.
But more, it doesn't go like say don't be gay. It's saying homosexuals, like people who practice homosexuality, won't be inheriting the kingdom of heaven. There's like no explicit thing that says don't be gay.
Or just that it's like wrong?
Well, it does say that it's unnatural, like they exchanged stuff. Sorry, let me find it real quick.
So in like the Romans verse references Romans 1:26. And the word there, it's not saying that it's wrong. It's using like a different sort of term. It's saying like it's saying like it's like shameful. It's not the sort of word that gets used to refer to things like sins.
Well, no, look, you got to also look at 24. Therefore, God gave them up for sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie and worshiped the created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lusts. Even their women exchanged natural relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed indecent acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their perversion. And then we could infer that this due penalty is, you know, the same one that the men in Sodom and Gomorrah got. You know,
But then
it's the same
so-
judgment as
yeah.
like it's not correct.
But it's stated explicitly that the punishment, the reason why Sodom and Gomorrah was punished at all, is not because they're gay. In fact, I think Jesus himself.
No, I think they were like all evil or something, right?
Yeah, well,
forget
I mean, they were
exactly
like
why.
trying to like rape people.
Yeah, but I mean, they were all also like gay.
So specifically, when Jesus himself tells you what the crime of Sodom and Gomorrah was in Matthew 10:14-15. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet as you leave that house or town. Truly, I tell you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. So it's saying like if people are unwelcoming to you, and that's further confirmed by Ezekiel 16:48-49. This one, as I live, says the Lord God, your sister Sodom and her daughters have not done as you and your daughters have done. This was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters had pride, excess of food, and prosperous ease, but did not aid the poor and the needy. So it's not saying like among the crimes of Sodom and Gomorrah, according to like Ezekiel.
Well, I mean, that was
It-
just
it's
in
not
relation. I
being
was trying to
gay.
say, you know, like we
It's
could see
saying
the
the real
people of
crimes,
Sodom and
yeah.
Gomorrah had the same acts of the people that Paul's talking about in Romans. I'm not saying they're one for one. I was just trying to relate that. But I mean, it's clear to me in Romans, at least, that it shows that God is giving people up to their desires and lusts,
Mm-hmm.
and that they exchange the natural relationship. And then that's where it's like, you know,
Sure. So I guess like what would constitute natural versus unnatural here?
well, again, that I'm going off of what the Bible says.
Yeah. But specifically, it's saying that there's like these natural uses and these unnatural uses of your
So you want to know? Yeah, well
desires.
then that
Like,
would
what's
be
the
found in
criteria for like
Genesis. I
natural
can't find
versus
you the exact
unnatural?
verse in Genesis, but it says that a man shall leave his mother and father and cling to his wife. So you see, like in Genesis, it talks about how marriage is between a man and a wife. So like
Mhm.
that's the union that we're supposed to have. Also, with Adam and Eve, it's a partnership between a man and a female again.
The two genders, man and female. So what would you make of the fact that in 1 Corinthians, Paul says that you shouldn't get married, that it's better to not get married than it is to get married?
Yeah, he's talking to some of the people in Corinth for sure.
Ooh, sorry, you didn't say that. You said just in general, you shouldn't get married.
Well, it's a letter to the people in Corinth, so
And isn't the
he would not.
Romans,
He
wait, sorry, isn't the
Paul.
Romans
Okay,
one a
well,
letter
if
to
you're trying to get at that
Romans?
Paul saying that that Paul wouldn't want people to get married, then you could even just say that Paul's wrong there, because Paul even says that if I or anyone comes claiming a different gospel, rebuke it. So
So
he can't
why
go.
would
He's not
we-
going against the word of God, though. Paul wouldn't say you can't get married. He's
Well,
not
he's saying it's
saying
better
that.
to not get married.
For some people, yeah. For some
Well,
people,
no,
it is
it's
definitely
saying
better to not get
it's
married.
saying to the unmarried and the widows, I say that it is good for them to remain unmarried as I am. But if they are not practicing self-control, they should marry. For it's better to marry than to be aflame with passion.
Oh,
So he
look,
sets
see,
out like
yeah,
a
so it's not even
hierarchy.
bad to marry.
Wait, so
Yeah, so
but
it's
you
not even
would
bad
then
to
say
marry.
that it's better to not marry than it is to marry?
Yeah, sure, I guess Paul would
Okay.
say that, but I mean, I guess that probably would be correct. I could see that, devote your whole life to God and don't, do that. But if you can't do that, then just like Adam, you need a partner.
Sure. So then in that circumstance, you would say that you do something like less than good. You do something like worldly maybe by getting
No,
married.
I would say less than ideal, but not less than good. No, you're still good because
Okay.
Paul says, go
So
do
you do
that.
think
Go,
like the
go get
ideal
married.
world is the world where nobody marries?
For some people, that would be their
Hmm.
ideal world, but
I'm asking
I
you.
personally am someone who needs a partner.
Yeah.
I know that in
But
my
if
heart.
you were like a better person, like a better Christian, you wouldn't
Oh
need
yeah,
a
if I was
partner.
better devoutly, yeah, I for sure I would realize that, or not even realize, but I would have that hunger for just God alone. I would have just that hunger in my heart, so where I didn't need a companion.
Sure.
But God hasn't placed that fire in my heart.
Yeah, sure. So you do think like the ideal world is the one where nobody gets married and then we all die
No,
off?
I'm not going to say the ideal world is the one where nobody gets married.
But it is ideal. Is it not
Well,
ideal for
actually-
everyone to do
well,
the
actually,
ideal
I
thing?
will say that. No, yeah, I will say that because in heaven, well, not even in heaven, when everything gets Judgment Day, all that stuff happens, we're not going to be married anymore. Jesus does talk about how marriage is going to be gone. There's going to be no more wives, brother. So yeah, in the ideal world, there is no more marriage. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So then in the ideal world, humanity wouldn't last past this generation?
No, in the ideal world, we're eternal because we're
Yeah.
living in God.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we
But in
don't
terms
die.
of like our time on earth, like we would just not have kids?
For now, I mean, the ideal world for now would be everyone listen to the Bible, not just listen to that one verse of not having kids. Like they still need to do
Yeah.
all the other things that the Bibles are talking about. You can't
Yeah,
just say,
yeah.
"Oh, that's one thing."
Yeah, yeah. So the ideal world would include a lot of things, but one of the things that your ideal world would include is that nobody has kids?
A good eternal world, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Where that's the one that Jesus describes.
Okay. And that's not like a little bit absurd? You don't think that there's like a bit of absurdity in there saying like ideally nobody would have kids?
I'm saying that that's literally what heaven is described at the
Mhm.
end of times. That's
Yep.
what's going to happen, and that's going to be a time when everything is set in stone.
Okay. But to be clear, so you don't find that like unintuitive to say that nobody should have kids, like ideally?
Well, I would never tell anyone to nobody have kids. The Bible talks about how children are a blessing.
Yeah, and then Paul says all else equal, you shouldn't have them. But it's
Yeah, for
better
some
to
people.
not.
Yeah, he's saying, yeah,
No, he
for some
doesn't
people
say
it's
for some
better.
people. He says for the unmarried, for the people who aren't married, and we're all born
Yes,
unmarried.
and then he
so-
continues on more.
Yeah, But what he's saying is that the ideal, like the top of the hierarchy, at the top of the value
Yeah,
hierarchy, is
exactly.
nobody
And
gets
we
married,
see and we
which
even
then
see
of course
that
infers
that's
that
kind of what
nobody
we
has
get at
kids.
the end of times, that's what's going to happen
Yes.
is that.
Yeah. So then your ideal, you think the best thing that everybody on earth could do is to stop having kids.
That's not what I'm saying.
Is that not
And
true?
that's not even what Paul's saying.
That is what Paul's saying. He's saying to the unmarried and the widows, I say it is good for them to remain unmarried as I am.
Okay, but what about the married?
Yeah, for the
They're
people who are
supposed to
already
have
married,
kids
then they're
still.
supposed to stay married. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what
But then
about
their
God's
kids
instructions
but then their
in
kids are
and what about
unmarried.
God's instructions in Genesis about a man leaving his husband and his wife
Then
to
that would just be Paul
go
disregarding
join another woman and
things.
get married?
That's just
I'm
Paul
sorry, I didn't hear you
disregarding.
on the
No,
last
that's
part.
fine. Yeah, that would just be Paul disregarding Genesis.
Yeah, which could be happen. So that's why when I'm saying to you, like, some people in Corinth is because like this wasn't like when he's writing this, he's not knowing that they're going to make a whole book about this, you know, and do all this. He's writing this as a letter to a church. So he knows this church's problems. That's why he's writing to them.
Oh, wait. Also, to be clear, so he does say don't do this. This is if you read further down in like 27 or 26. I think that in view of the impending crisis, it is good for you to remain as you are. Are you bound to a wife? Do not seek to be free. Are you free from a wife? Do not seek a wife. He says explicitly, don't do it. There's like
So
the additional
actually, then,
section
yeah,
there
you know
that
what? The more
says-
I'm talking to you, the more I'm getting convinced, like, yeah, that is probably the ideal world. Because then we're all just living for God, and that'll bring upon the what's it called?
like the rapture.
Jesus'
or-
return probably sooner.
And that's not unintuitive to you. That's like an intuitive thing.
Yeah. I
Okay.
know it's a little strange, but like God supernaturally touched my heart and has made me see this.
Okay.
Like just
I-
like how Paul is able to say that, like, you know, like you could say it's absurd, but that's your opinion, right? And then where are you getting your opinion from? Just off of everyone else's opinions around you?
Oh no,
Maybe
I mean
have that,
I
or-
value things like I put like some value into things like people, like future people. I don't think that
Babies?
I don't think that the existence of no, not even babies, like people that don't yet exist.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's why I said
I don't
babies,
think that
I
this
think
is like
people.
zero value, but I guess like another angle we could take this is that I think the Bible's sexual ethics are like pretty straightforwardly absurd. So if you want like a good example of that, what do we got? We got what is it, Deuteronomy 32? The one where no, it's not Deuteronomy 32.
Well, if you're looking for like old laws
22,
and Old
28 to
Testament,
29.
we're not under the law of those anymore.
Yeah, you are. Jesus says in Matthew 5.
Yeah, he didn't break the law, but Paul says that we're not under that anymore. We're under the new law.
Oh gosh.
That's why Jesus died for that, and then he resurrected, and he even gives an example how just like when a woman marries a man and the man dies and then she gets remarried, she's not breaking an oath with the older man that is now passed. She's now with this new man, this new oath.
Sure.
So
So
we're
you think
supposed to
that
follow Jesus.
yeah, you think Paul's no, but it kind of sounds like you don't do that. It kind of sounds like you
What do you
put
mean?
Paul's word above Jesus's word.
Oh, don't say that. What do you mean? Explain.
Yeah, because Jesus says explicitly that the Old Testament is still in effect.
Yeah, I didn't say it's not in effect. His rules are still good, but
yeah. So then you would still need to account for like what it says in Deuteronomy.
all right. But you didn't bring it up. What was it?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, this is Deuteronomy what I think Deuteronomy 22, 28 through 29. If a man meets a virgin who is not yet engaged and seizes her and lies with her, and they are discovered, the man who lay with her shall give 50 shekels of silver to the young woman's father, and she shall become his wife, because he violated her. He shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives.
Yep.
So it's
He did
saying that-
violate her.
What?
He did violate her. Even
Yes.
if they were both consensually having sex, he
They weren't.
violated her.
That's the thrust. is
You're
that
saying they weren't.
Yeah.
But it says seizes. Yeah.
What do you take
But
seizes to be?
as taking her. What do you think that means? As having
Like
sex with her?
like forcibly is what seizes means.
Oh no, I don't think it's forcibly.
Okay, so if I look up
Because
like a
the one
definition
previously,
of seize,
I
it
wouldn't.
says
But why would he be talking about the man seizing her, that one being rape, when he just talked about a rapist on the one before?
it also uses the same word in the one before.
Yeah, but it describes a different situation entirely.
But to be clear, the one before is talking about rape and it uses the same word.
And then it talks about a different situation entirely, right?
Yeah, but
So
presumably if
maybe
seize is
rape
here,
doesn't mean, maybe that seize word doesn't mean rape, but rather taking a woman.
no, it does mean rape. There's no Hebrew word for rape. They just have like a bunch of like euphemisms for it, I guess.
So what is that Hebrew word? What is it saying that it means?
Yeah, I can pull that up. Deuteronomy 22. Hebrew. What do we got? I don't know how to pronounce Hebrew, but yeah, it means like seizes.
So yeah, take upon. That's to me, that doesn't mean anything. Like, to me, I don't see why God would give a commandment about, what happens to rapists, and then he would also give another commandment about what happens to rapists.
But then why does it? Okay, so across like this entire section, God is giving like
Can
a
you
set.
tell me the section again? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
having a
This is
hard time
Deuteronomy
finding.
22.
22 what?
22,
Or just
28
chapter
through
22?
29. Yeah, but it's kind of like the last part of it. So God goes through like a number of scenarios in Deuteronomy 22 where he says,
Mhm.
okay, if this happens, then you'll do this. If that happens, then you'll do that, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll read like the last three. If there's a young woman, a virgin, already engaged to be married, and a man meets her in the town and lies with her, you shall bring both of them to the gate of the town and stone them to death. The young woman because she did not cry for help in the town, and the man because he violated his neighbor's wife, so you shall purge the evil from your midst. It uses a different word. So for the rape cases, it uses seizes, but for the non-rape cases, it uses the word lie with.
Which part? Sorry, what you
That's
said
23. That's
22?
Deuteronomy 22, 23 through 24 is the part that I just read.
Okay, 23 through 24. Got it. Yeah, it sounds like if they were both committing adultery to me.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But it uses a different word than the seize word.
What is it? What word does it use?
Yeah, let me find that.
What is the definition of that word?
Yeah. I like what still can't speak Hebrew, but I'll tell you what the word gets translated
Yeah,
as.
I don't need you to tell me the
Yeah.
pronunciation.
Let's see. Deuteronomy 22, 23. Lies, it seems, but I wonder if it yeah, it seems to just mean lies with. It seems to mean like sex, like has sex with, but in like a neutral way. Like you could add
But what is
additional
the definite?
words.
Just lies with? That's all it says?
Yeah. Like literally one of the translations of this same word in 2 Samuel is like lying on the ground. Like that's how it gets translated.
Oh, interesting. So this one even means just like laying with.
Yeah, in the same way that it does in English, yeah.
Oh wow. So this one even seems like just laying with your partner is like or like how it's saying like a married virgin is adultery.
Yeah. Like
so this is going to an extreme too. So yeah, I mean this is a different case then.
Yep. I agree with that. But the point of this is to differentiate this verse from like the following subsequent verses.
Well, that sounds like this one they don't even have to have sex. It sounds like this one they could just lay next to each other.
It's pretty clearly talking about sex, otherwise there's no violation.
No, not clearly. You just said it.
You don't think?
I mean, just lay down. Well, think about it. She's
in
married
this
to
context,
some other
they're pretty
man,
clearly talking about like
betrothed.
intercourse. Otherwise, it's not
Well, she's
clear what the
supposed to.
problem
Well, not
is.
betrothed yet, but she's supposed to be married, right? That's what it's talking about. Pledged to another man.
To be clear, if you take this to not mean have sex with, and instead you take this to be something like just like lied next to them, then the
I mean,
fact
I
that
don't
this
think that's
deserves
what
the
it
death
means.
penalty is
I mean,
insane.
yeah.
Like that would be an
I feel
absurdity
you.
on its face. Like if that's the interpretation you want to take.
No, yeah, it is. I feel you.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
I think you could use the same word. I think you could use different words.
okay.
I think, like, personally, that sees one doesn't, to me, I don't see it as rape. I don't know.
Okay, so how would
Because
this
then you
not
said
just be
that this one,
covered
in my
by-
book, it says, but in my book, it does say rape. It doesn't say lie with her. It says, and rapes her, only the man who has
Wait, for
done
which
this
one?
shall die.
For which verse?
But if the country a man to meet a girl who pledged to be married and rapes her, only the man who has done this shall
Yes,
die.
exactly. So it's probably going to say rape in your verse for 28 through 29.
Oh, it said no. Actually, because that was the one after. You said 23. If a man happens to meet in a town a virgin pledged to be married and he sleeps with her, you shall take both of them to the gate of the town and stone them to death.
Yep. But then even in your version, the translation that you use, it probably translates it as rape. Like the verse in question, the 28 through 29.
And you think that because they're using different words here on the rape one, and
Yeah.
like this is so lies with. Hold on. So that means with your interpretation, the one that said like he just, when they used it to just mean lay down, like that could also mean sex.
Yeah.
So you would, that's not absurd.
What's the absurdity? Sorry?
That's not absurd to insert sex onto that one? Onto
No.
that
It's
context?
literally the laws concerning sexual relations is the header for the section.
No. Hold on. Wait.
So,
I
of
think we're getting a little
course it's
confused
talking
here.
about
Not the
sex.
23 one. No, not the 23 one. The one where I asked about what is that? Because you said it's used in a different part of the Bible and it just meant to like lay down.
Oh yeah, in Hebrew. Or no, sorry, in 2 Samuel, yeah. 2 Samuel 12.
So like for that
16.
one, is there any sexual in? Wait, sorry. 2 Samuel.
2
12, 16,
Samuel
you said?
12:16. Yeah, we can check to see whether or not it's Deuteronomy. Okay, wait. So it's
I got it here. After Nathan had gone home, the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife had born to David, and he had became ill. David pleaded with God for the child. He fasted and went into the house, and he spent the nights lying on the ground. So it just means lying on the ground there.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. is
So
that
the
it's like a
Hebrews used the
euphemism.
same word, but it had different meanings.
Yes, exactly.
So they can't. So they could do the same thing with C's, the
Mhm.
word that they used with C's.
Yeah, they totally
Yeah,
could.
so that's what
but
happened
seize
there.
refers to something that's like a violent, forceful action. And specifically,
It doesn't have to be violent.
It does have to be forceful, though.
To an extent, yeah, for sure. Seizing the moment. You got to take the opportune moment. So yeah, you
Yeah,
do
if you
something.
take someone by force,
You take action.
That's
You
right.
well, I don't think it has to be a physical, forceful thing. You just taking action is seizing the day.
Okay.
Just getting up is seizing the day.
Here's one that we could differentiate. What differentiates the act that's happening in 23 and 24 from the act that's happening in 25, 26, and 27? Because to me, like obviously the one in 23 and 24, the implication is that it's consensual, which is why both of them are put to death. Whereas in 25, 26, and 27, it's rape, which is why only the man is put to death.
Thank God for that too.
But if you agree that that one is rape, then you would also have to agree that the 28 and 29 verse is rape because it uses the same word.
Well, what do you mean, the 28 and 29?
Yeah, that if a man meets a virgin who is not engaged and seizes her and lies with her and they are discovered, the man who lay with her shall give 50 shekels of silver to the young woman's father. In fact, to be clear,
No, but we just determined that you could use
whoa.
the same word
Wait,
and have different
Pause.
definitions.
Pause. To be clear, doesn't it just say rape in the version that you have? Doesn't the verse
Well, it
literally
doesn't
say
matter
rape?
what version I got. We're
What
going off
version
of
do
the
you
Hebrew,
have?
right?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure.
This
You
one
can you can
is
correct me if-
NIV, not my favorite, by the way.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, LSB.
LSB. We could do LSB. We
Mhm.
could see how it gets translated in LSB.
It probably says seizes. It's not gonna help us.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. Yeah, it does say seizes. But no, and I do know in NIV it says rape. Just
Mhm.
straight up.
Yeah, there's been a whole bunch of translations, and people try to put their stuff. I mean, let's go off the the easy one, Slaves Bible. That's horrible. But just a fun fact, one I heard about today, there was one called the Killer Bible, where they translated just one misinterpretation, and it says like the children should be like filled first, but they put killed first.
That's funny.
What
That's
a horrible
that's a crazy
translation.
translation.
That is so crazy. So it's known as the Killer Bible. Fun
Yeah.
fact.
That's it's pretty insane.
Mhm.
Okay, wait. So yeah, I guess it's like the same point though. Like, okay, what do you think differentiates 23 and 24 from 25, 26, and 27?
Uh, 27 and 26 are the same situation. The 25. So you're saying the 23 to 24, what's the difference between those two? 23,
Yeah.
24, and then the situation in 25 to 28?
Yeah. Like, what's your
So the 23,
understanding?
24 sounds consensual.
Yep, I agree. Do you think 25 and 26 sounds consensual?
Consensual. Do you agree with that?
Wait, I think you might have cut out. Do you think
Sorry, your
25
mic
through
cut out.
27?
That probably might. Okay, yeah, that was me. That was my bad. My mic cut out, I guess. Which part was I on?
Yeah, 25 through 27. Do you think that one's consensual?
No. That's why I was asking you. Do you think that one's consensual? too?
No.
Okay.
And then it uses the same word in 25 through 27 as it does in 28 through 29. So if 25 through 27 is not consensual,
Yeah, but we already determined you could use. Yeah, but we already determined you could use the same word and it have different meanings and connotations.
this is the only one where it appears within the sexual laws is in these two. There's the one where the person gets raped, but it's in the countryside. So you kill the man and you let the woman live because it was presumably unconsensual. And then using the same word, it says, if you rape a virgin, the virgin is forced to marry you.
Let me see. I too will pull up this Hebrew and stop forcing you to try to sound it out in your head.
Okay.
Sorry if my internet's being all wonky right now. I don't know what's happening. Okay. And then we're on Deuteronomy. Sorry, it's taking me a moment here to
That's
navigate
okay.
this website.
Yeah, it's it's
Are you on the Bible Hub one too?
yeah. So
Yeah, it's little. How do you pull up the chapters? Do you know?
I have no idea. I just Google search the specific one I'm looking for. Okay. So I'm comparing this with other instances of the seize word. In Joshua 8:8, it's referring to like the seizing of a city. In
Like, I'm just curious. Like, do they use the "sees" word anywhere else in the Bible?
yes, they
Like,
do.
not in terms of sexual relation.
Yeah, like they talk about like seizing cities,
Oh, okay,
like
where
when you
at?
like capture
Yeah.
a city, like Joshua
Website's
8:8.
confusing. Mm-hmm. I have this thing on my phone, and it's actually better on the phone. This button. No. Aye. I'm gonna take your word for the "sees" that it's used there. Is it used somewhere like in? I'm like having to click through it manually in Matthew.
Yeah, Joshua
somewhere 'cause they
8:8,
throw
the
you in
word
Mal-
gets used.
Oh, I found it. It's at the top of the page. It's like literally right under the search bar. Do you see it?
Which one?
Like to search for chapters and stuff. That way, if you ever go on this website, you could. It's literally right under the search bar. Okay. You said, which one were we even on? We were on Deuteronomy.
Yeah. So in Joshua it says like seize in the context of like seizing a city. In First Kings it says seize as in like take hold of him. In First Kings it says seize the prophets of Baal, God commanding Elijah. And then later down, same verse, it says, so they seized them. It seems pretty clearly to be like a forceful act that's happening. Like seizing in the same way that you might capture like the king.
Yeah, but also kind of just take control of something.
But like against the person's will.
This. Am I even in all right? Deuteronomy 20. Oh my gosh. I clicked 28. Okay. And then I clicked 23 when we were in technically 22.
Grimlock, thanks so much for the $10.
Okay.
$10 on Cash App. Let's get a big W for Grimlock. I will hydrate.
Smart. I have such a bad habit of not. Okay, and lies. Yeah, how do you even pronounce some of these words? Okay.
But I don't know. We've been Did you find it?
I'm really close to it. I'm seeing he uses it in the, oh yeah, here it is, the 50 shekels one. Utapasa. He sees it there. Gosh, this website has like 50 different things you can click on. Is it the E that gives the definition and all the entries? Yes, it is.
Yeah. So when you find the verse in Deuteronomy 22, 28 through 29, you can click on it, and then there's going to be 65 occurrences of it.
Where do you see the? Oh, I see the occurrences. Yeah.
65
right
occurrences.
You're clicking the 8, 6, 10 button, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Wait. Oh yeah. Well, mine also says to seize, capture, grasp, and take hold of. So just even to hold or to hold on to, grasp.
It's using it in the same sense that it's talking about like capturing a
So like in
king.
Genesis, it
It's
says
using it in the same
it
sense
was
as
all
like
those who
unconsensual
play.
acts.
Yeah, in Genesis 39:12, it also says she caught him by his garment, saying so. Like she grabbed him,
For which
she
one?
caught him. It says Genesis 39:12. She caught him by his garment, saying, and she caught him by his garment, saying.
Yeah. Oh, and to be clear, like it's not like a consensual grab that takes place in Genesis 39:12. It's like this guy's leaving, and then she doesn't want him to leave, so she like grabs onto his clothing. Like even that is like there's like a lack of consent there. Like it's the instances of this are clearly talking about things that are happening against a person's will.
Witness the act.
Hmm?
The booty between took the warriors went. What about this one in Deuteronomy 9?
Yeah, Deuteronomy 9:17 verse doesn't look like it's going to be much help because it describes like taking tablets and then throwing them against the ground.
Yeah, but that just means grabbing something there too.
But even this is referring to like a forceful, violent interaction, even against the tablets.
Oh, but look at Joshua 8:23 too. But they took alive the king.
Yeah, that's an unconsensual interaction too. Being a king who gets captured. Yeah, all of these are like forceful, unconsensual interactions.
Going through this like slow, but it's like I'm trying to be genuine with you. I hope you
Yeah, that's fine.
feel that.
But okay, is there I don't know, it's if you want, you can look into this and then come back some different day, but I probably gotta either
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm sure you probably got like a long queue, huh?
well, okay, one of two things can happen. Either you can grant that this is referring to rape, and then we can have the conversation from there, or if you want to, you can look into this word further and then determine what it refers to and then come back later.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like we just don't see eye to eye on this, though.
Every single verse refers to some sort of like forceful, violent action. It's clearly talking about force.
So then let's go back to
The Deuteronomy 22 verse.
yeah. I was actually looking at the 28 one.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 22, 28 through 29, yeah. So, are you willing to grant that this is referring to rape?
No, because again, you're saying it just they all seem like forceful actions.
Okay, is it wrong to rape a virgin? And if so, where in the Bible does it express that it's wrong to rape a virgin?
I mean, it expresses. I thought we were reading it right here.
Yeah, oh,
we've
sure.
been
So
reading
then
it
you
the full
agree that
time.
this is referring to rape.
Well, the one where it says
Yeah.
cries
Is it
out.
wrong to rape a virgin who's not pledged to marry anyone?
Well, I mean, it's wrong to rape no matter what.
Yeah, but does the Bible outlaw specifically the raping of a virgin who's not yet pledged to someone?
Who's not pledged to someone?
Yeah. Is that wrong? And if so, where is it outlawed?
Mm, someone says pledged. Okay. That's why I really do not like all these translations. I really wish I had the LSB to know which one says seizes and which one does not. Which the first two say lie with, right? The 23.
I think so. But I'm just wondering, right? So is there a place in the Bible where it outlaws the raping of a virgin who's not pledged to marry anyone?
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, you got to remember, God also doesn't want us to have sex outside of marriage. So just any sex outside of marriage is almost like rape, is like taking control in your own hands.
That's definitely false. If you think all
That's
sex
not, no, that's not false.
okay,
'cause
which
God-
one's worse? Having sex outside of marriage consensually or like raping someone?
What do you mean?
Is it wrong to like which one's worse?
In
Or
God's eyes, they're both a sin, and they're both worthy of death.
are they both equally as bad?
In God's eyes, yeah.
That can't possibly be true to say that.
Well, in God's
like,
eyes, that's what it says. All sins are equal and
Sure.
worthy of death.
Well, oh, then I guess that's probably sufficient to arrive at absurdities. The idea that, you know, I've had premarital sex with my girlfriend. The idea that what I've done with my girlfriend is as bad as if I was like raping her, that just can't be true. Like that's like an absurd ethic.
Well, morally, in God's eyes, it is, because you're not repentant of it and you're not married yet, which is his design. You know what I mean? You see
So
what I, like?
which would be worse? Like if I raped somebody and then felt bad about it, or if I unrepentantly keep having sex with my girlfriend before marriage? Which one's worse?
Which one's worse?
Yeah.
Well, just feeling bad about something doesn't
Like I
change your heart.
repent for it.
would-
You know, I raped someone and I repent
if you
for
repent,
it. Or
if you actually repent, change your heart, yeah, that would be the better outcome in God's
So-
eyes, for sure.
me raping somebody and then repenting is better than me having premarital
In-
sex with my girlfriend?
In God's eyes.
That
I'm telling you, in
that
God's
that
eyes.
can't be true. Come on, you don't believe that.
Oh, and it says that what's it called? What is it? The parable of like the lost sheep, when Jesus brings back the lost sheep, how, you know, they're all going to be happy for the lost sheep. So yeah, it's really a celebration whenever anyone repents.
There's just no way you believe this, man.
But that's what it says.
I
Like,
know that might be what it says, but there's no way that you believe that. Like that's just obviously not true. To say that it would be
well,
better
again,
for me
we
to
don't know
rape
what's
somebody
in
than
God's
repent,
eyes or not.
as opposed to for me to have unrepentant sex with my girlfriend.
In God, yeah, that's what I'm saying. In God's eyes,
Yeah, and if something is true in God's eyes, then it's true absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, so then you would be committed to saying that it's true absolutely that the repentant rapist is better than the unrepentant
Yeah, I already just
long-term
did. Though.
relationship. That's
I
crazy.
did, though.
I don't believe that you believe that. That would be crazy.
You don't believe I believe that because we've had such a good conversation.
Because I don't know, that's like an insane belief.
I
You must
know that there's a lot of insane stuff in the Bible. Have you read it?
I have, yeah.
It's a lot of insane things.
Yeah. Well, there probably just is no way to make progress in terms of ethics, like if you're willing to bite a bullet like that. But hey, I appreciate you coming on up here. I appreciate the chat. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that there's any way to. Yeah. Larry, thanks so much for the $50 super chat. In 1804, the population was 1 billion. It's premises. Premise 1, in 1804, world population was 1 billion. Premise 2, in 1927, world population was 2 billion. Premise 3, today's the world population is north of 8 billion. Thus the conclusion, world population is being held back by gay men. I'm not sure if that's formally valid. In order to make that formally valid, well, I might, so you could do one of two things. Either you could develop the argument specifically about why gay men are the causal factor there, or you could add like a premise 4, which is just like, if premise 1, 2, and 3 are true, then the world population is being held back by gay men, and then it would follow. But big W for Larry. I appreciate that. Mr. Chris O'Brien, thanks so much for the super chat. Do you think that there would be value in asking guests if they would object to someone being gay if they also have biological children? I doubt their motives. I don't know. I try to do as little weaseling as I can. I think like a lot of even like the idea of like bringing up, well, gay people can have kids through IVF feels just a little bit like weaseling. I think like the point that's like obviously more glaring to me is that who cares if they have kids? Who the fuck cares? Why would that change the wrongness of it if they can have kids or not have kids? So I don't know. That's kind of where I fall on that sort of issue. But I don't know. I just think that you should have the debate like really straight up and say, yeah, granting no gay person has kids, why is that wrong? That to me seems way more compelling, because if you go back in history, you know, there's going to be like times that are before IVF where there are gay people who just aren't having kids. Like basically all of them didn't have kids. And I want to say that it's fine then too. So. Bethos, thanks so much for the super chat. Watched a bit of Ian content and think I should support it. Also, I support gay marriage and gayness in general and the full LGBTQ plus range. Big W to you, Bethos. Okay, if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God, or sorry, fuck, scratch that. Make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you do think that there's something wrong with being gay. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going? Sleepy. Sleep well, fair prince. Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. Well enough so far. I've got dinner in about 10 minutes-ish. Been really enjoying your stream. I actually found you on YouTube, believe it or not.
Hey, that's super cool. Yeah.
I am unsure if I actually disagree with you or not. Now, I'll tell you why.
Mhm.
When you say that there's like the text to disagree with is there's nothing wrong with being gay.
Yeah.
Right? That requires some kind of standard to hold to right and wrong. And I'm unsure of what the standard is that you're using. So it might very well be that I just don't understand your logic. And if I were to understand that better, I might agree with you.
So
can you tell me what your like logic is or what mode of ethics you use?
Sure. Although I'm not entirely sure that that's relevant. I can like break down the prompt a little bit more. So what wrongness refers to, okay, so there are imperatives which are just saying like you should do a specific thing, but there's like two types of imperatives. There's something called like a hypothetical imperative, which is saying like if you want to achieve this goal, you should do this thing. So for example, let's say you're playing chess. and you want to checkmate the king, and there's one move that'll allow you to do that. Well, if you want to win the game, then you ought make that move. It's like an ought that derives from your goal. This contrasts with something called the hypothetical imperative, which is like the things that you have a reason to do no matter what your goals are. So when we say something is wrong or right, what we're saying is that it fits the criteria of the categorical imperative, that you have a categorical imperative to not do it. So what this basically means, if you think that there is something wrong with being gay, the belief that you would hold is that there's some reason that gay people have to not engage in gay sex. Do you think that there's such thing?
Awesome. Okay, cool. So yes, and I'm glad that you use
Oh wait,
language
also
like
wait, how old
imperative.
are you?
Oh yeah, 25.
Okay,
25.
sure,
My
yeah,
bad. I should
Yep.
have gone through. Yes, I meet your criteria. Yeah, so I'm 25. So I kind of land between deontological ethics and virtue ethics, just kind of depending on the day. So when I think of like what categorical imperatives are there against like homosexual action,
hmm
then yes, I do believe that there is a moral imperative to withhold that action or that activity from one's life.
Yeah,
If
why?
Yeah, well, I use Immanuel Kant's logic for that specifically. In his Ethics, and by that I mean his writings, like titled Ethics. He describes a very particular version of the categorical imperative that is equivalent to, but not precisely, if everyone were to utilize this action or this
Yeah.
activity, this good for these ends, it would lead to something wrong, right? So it's basically like,
Mm-mm.
well, if everyone were gay,
Specifically,
then
a contradiction. Sorry to interrupt you. What
you're
Immanuel
fine.
Kant is specifically talking about is a contradiction, that it can't be done, not just that there's like a bad outcome from it.
Um, I don't think that's true when he writes specifically on lectures on ethics. He gives an example of when a woman satisfies her impulse on a woman or a man on a man. This also runs counter to the ends of humanity. And it goes on specifically the ends of humanity, which is the procreation of the species. It is not just, well, it's a logical contradiction. Obviously, we can't do it. This action, because not everyone can do it, we must remove ourselves from being able to do it.
So
If you pull up his lectures on ethics specifically,
yeah, no, I know that he espouses this view. I just think that he's applied his own like universalization criteria wrong, because the formalization of the formulation of the universalization criteria is specifically that if everyone can do it without a contradiction, then it's permissible, and if there is a contradiction, then you strictly must not do that. So if we like evaluate, there's a kind of a number of contradictions that he could be referring to. If you want a good book on this, Christine Korsgaard's Creating the Kingdom of Ends, there's like a section that goes into detail about what sort of contradiction specifically it is. But there's like kind of three main camps as to what the contradiction might be. Maybe there's like a teleological contradiction, that it like frustrates like the intrinsic purpose of the thing. But then that's probably not true. Otherwise, you'd have to say that there's like a categorical imperative against, like, I don't know, like kissing my girlfriend because it goes against like the teleology of the mouth or something like that. You might want to say it's like a logical contradiction, but like that's probably also not true. I forget
So
what.
I suppose
Yeah.
what it comes down to really is like, what is the end of the procreative act?
Yeah.
Right? Like, or what is sex, right? I'm so sorry, because sex and procreative act is a little more loaded.
Yeah.
So for example, my take on the ends of sex are the union of the spouses and the procreation of children. So those two ends are what I would consider to be the purposes of sex. And then, without utilizing a Christian framework for just a second, you could use a non-Christian framework like Kant's to argue that so long as we are willing to engage in the idea that there is objective right and wrong, which I don't know, that's just what I thought I needed to do in order to that is what I agree with. I just don't want to step on anyone's toes or make
That's
you feel like
okay.
I'm trying to proselytize you. My thought is just there are, because this is, I came in with listening to this Christian guy going through some Bible verses, and like, don't get me wrong, I'm Catholic, but like his use of special revelation, I felt like just really wasn't helpful. I feel like there are like natural, even evolutionary psychological reasons to oppose homosexual actions. And that specifically would oppose your premise, which is why I called in. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe this could be fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think about the idea that there are ends or purposes for the sexual act, and those ends are the union of the couple or the people, right? And then the procreation of children.
So I'm quite pessimistic about that. I think that purposes, I think that these are the sorts of things that get assigned by agents. I think agents assign purposes. I don't think that there are like intrinsic purposes to body parts. So I don't think that, like, for example, I think that I don't think that my mouth has like the purpose of like kissing my partner. I think it has like, that's like a function of it. It's like a thing that it's like physically capable of doing. But I don't think that it's like some quick typing. No, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm an evolutionary psych guy, so I remember that the idea that something can have like an intrinsic purpose, like to its nature, right? So like imagine for a moment we're created by a creator, then that might, in an Aristotelian sense, apply like there is actually a purpose for particular body parts. But if I remember, and I was right, okay, in the 1500s, nominalism is what I was thinking of. The idea that these like categories of this is the purpose of the mouth, this is the purpose of the penis, this is the purpose of the brain, or whatever,
You're thinking of
are really
natural
just
law theory.
categories for us individually, like laterally amongst people to decide like, hey, these are what these can be used for. But like we could evolve later on and these body parts end up doing a different function, right? And that wouldn't make us any less human or wouldn't change our moral value. So I was going off of something that I felt like could relate to what you're talking about. Does that kind of sound similar to what you're describing, that body parts don't have an intrinsic purpose or an end, but they might perform common tasks or even essential tasks?
Not really. So nominalism typically is a stance related to universals. We're talking about like telos, like teleology, and whether or not there's like intrinsic teleology, which just means like, yeah. Do you know what telos is? Do I need to explain it? Or like teleology? It's kind of just like purpose.
Sorry. Are you still there?
Yeah. Wait, so are you familiar with teleology? Do you want me to explain it? Hello? Hello? I can't hear you. Return immediately.
Hearing you, man. I'm sorry.
Oop. Are you there? You're like
Just
big.
a second. I heard the bit about like, oh shit. Okay. I heard basically intrinsic telos. So I'm tracking. So you don't believe that any parts of our bodies have like an intrinsic end to themselves, that they have a purpose that they should be used for, and if they're used for anything other than those things, then that would be a moral wrong.
Well, okay, so I'm a moral realist. I do hold that there are like objective moral things. I just don't think that there are like objective teloses. I think that the right or wrong of a goal gets determined based on whether or not like the goal and the action conform to the standard. I don't think that there are like these extrinsic teloses such that if I use the body part in a way other than that it's wrong. I think that it depends on whether or not the goal is wrong or the action to achieve the goal is wrong.
Is that what you mean by standard? Standard in this sense is specifically the goal or the end of the person or the agent?
No. In terms of like objective morality.
What do you mean by standard? No, when you said as so long as it conforms to the standard and then described like goals of people, what is the standard?
Okay, so in terms of so I think it gets more complex when you're evaluating things like obligations towards towards the self. I think that you have lots of obligations to the self to behave in specific ways, but in terms of your obligations towards others, The standard that I hold is that everybody has a right to freedom and well-being, like a prima facie, like on face right to freedom and well-being.
Sure.
You have
That's
everyone
fine.
has like as much freedom and well-being as is compatible with everybody else having as much freedom and well-being as they can.
Okay, but the standard of acquiring that standard of well-being is what I'm questioning specifically.
You're asking
What
like, how do I arrive
determines-
at that conclusion?
No, like how do you determine the standard of freedom and well-being? Is it determined amongst all agents and they come to a common consensus? Is there some transcendental objective standard that you can derive it from the natural world? When you say that the goal or the moral end that you're looking to achieve that you believe is objective is this standard, what are the properties of this standard?
Are you just asking like, how would I define like freedom and well-being?
Yeah, that works great. Yeah.
Sure, I could, one sec. Let me pull up like a list. Yeah, Yep, sure. Okay, I'm just going to read a passage. The necessary goods of agency are freedom and well-being. Freedom and well-being can also be conceptualized as the generic goods of agency as they correspond to the generic features of agency, voluntariness and purposiveness. Freedom corresponding to voluntariness hence refers to an agent's actual ability to control her behavior in accordance with her informed and unforced choice. It requires that the agent is not subjected to violence, coercion, and deception in a way that negatively affects her capacity to control her agency. Moreover, it also requires that the agent should not suffer from any compulsive obsession that would interfere with her capacity for informed and unforced choice, nor should she be addicted to drugs that would negatively affect her capacity to control her behavior. That freedom, a person's behavior would not qualify as agency, as it would not reflect her choices and her will. Instead, she would resemble a slave, being the tool of other people or the powerless victim of uncontrollable impulses. Well-being corresponding to purposiveness refers to the agent's possession of ability and resources necessary for her successful realization of her purposes, involving basic preconditions of agency, as well as the conditions required for maintaining and developing capacities of agency. The well-being relevant to successful agency therefore has 3 levels. Basic well-being includes life, health, physical integrity, mental equilibrium, as well as objects necessary to maintain life and health, such as food, shelter, and clothing. Non-subtractive well-being includes whatever is necessary to an agent's maintaining an undiminished capacity for agency, such as not being the victim of theft, broken promises, malicious slander, or generally unsafe conditions of life and work. Additive well-being finally includes whatever is necessary to expand an agent's capacity for agency, such as having self-esteem and the virtues of prudence, temperance, and courage, as well as education, income, and wealth. Okay, so I guess like to summarize.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
So first half of that, freedom, I like it. That sounds good, though I would put a preface that my understanding of freedom may be slightly different than the one that author is using. Mine isn't necessarily the freedom to make any choice that I will. It's the freedom to make the right choice. So it does.
Yes.
Yeah. So it still does go down another layer there. And then for psychological well-being or just well-being in general, I would include an additional addendum for the meaning and purpose of one's life. That it be attained not just with the freedom of agency, right, but that it is subordinated to some transcendental end. So we are not simply we must move beyond ourselves to accomplish some kind of psychological, physical, emotional well-being. And that can be found, with God, but it can also be found within your other human lateral relationships.
Potentially. What I'm bringing this up for is just for the purposes of demonstrating like the obligations that you have towards others. I think analysis of whether or not you have like some ultimate purpose, I think that's probably necessary for the obligations that you have towards yourself. And I also think that the transcendent purpose in your life, whether or not there's like some shared ultimate ends, like eudaimonia and virtue ethics, I think that also gets like really messy, which is why I'm setting it to the side for now. If you want to go into that, we totally could.
That's fine.
In terms of like the obligations towards other people, you need freedom, which is like roughly in order to take any action. Let's say you have some action, you need the freedom to select that action uncoerced and like make choices to achieve it. And then you actually also need like the ability the capacity to succeed in those choices. So basically what the criteria is saying is that the maximum amount of all of this that you could do and universalize, you have the right to that much freedom and well-being.
Okay. So I think this ties back to whether or not it is wrong to be gay.
Yeah.
For me, I'm willing to use your standard. I like it. I think my minor critiques aren't relevant to the subject matter that you have on the top of your screen. So that works great. I have dinner in 3 minutes ago, but I really want to continue talking to you. So I'll ask you something, and then can you just tell me when you're normally streaming? I'd love to continue chatting. This is actually really fun.
Yeah, I don't know what time it is your time, but EST it's 3 to 6. So I actually end in like 7 minutes too.
Oh, cool. Okay, well then, just one final question for you,
Go for
and
it.
it goes back to the ends, right? So my thought is that I'm willing to totally set aside the personal premise that sexual intercourse belongs only within the confines of a marriage, right? The commitment, not the sacramental kind, but just a physical, legal kind of commitment between parties for the psychological well-being and outcomes of the party. I want to know, when you say wrong, would you be willing to say that an inferior status or a lower kind of good, if it could be attained elsewhere, so you could get a higher good, could be classified as wrong? That might be a little vague. So
Can you
maybe
could you give me I'm not sure I
an
understand.
example. So suppose for a moment you're discussing sexual ethics with someone who's bisexual,
Yeah.
right? So they're sexually attracted to biological men and biological women, and they have to make the choice between two people that they find equally attractive.
Yeah.
But one could marry a man and one could marry a woman. Suppose also that the society has no prejudices or pressures against union with one or the other. You could conclude that the person, this let's say male bisexual, should marry the woman if he believes they are of equal attraction, because one is able to procreate children, or is more potentially likely to procreate children. She may be infertile, but more potentially likely to achieve a good end that a homosexual union could not. And so in that case, it would be wrong, not in the sense that it would be evil, but it would be a lesser good.
Yep. So I think that probably comes down to the individual. Like, I don't think it's obligatory to have children. Like, in general, I value children. I value the continued existence of humanity, but I don't think that translates to every single individual human as this obligation. So if you don't want children, then you could make like kind of a reverse argument. You could say, well, you know, if you don't want children, but you marry the woman, assuming that you're a man, well, then people are going to expect you to have children, and that's going to be not great for you because you don't like these extra expectations. So I think the argument probably could be run in reverse.
Okay, gotcha. But would you say that, suppose, especially in the world of contraception, it's perfectly possible that a person could avoid conception with both parties? Yeah, one is more or less likely with one particular kind of intercourse, assuming no birth control, but they're still perfectly capable of being, you know, sexually safe, let's say, with either party. But the potential good of the potential likelihood of people changing their minds later in life if they want to have children, like many women do in their 30s, for example, that it would be good to, quote unquote, play it safe and go with the heterosexual option, even if they never plan on exercising it, just so that if IVF comes down the line, or if they do want to have a child, they would be able to do so with their own biological partner.
So, okay. I'm not sure that was like responsive to the critique, which is like I pointed out like a negative side effect that could exist within this, which is that you know, by marrying somebody who, if you don't want children at the time when you're choosing between these two people, then if you choose like the person with whom you can have children with, then there's going to be like societal expectations that you have children at that point, which would be unwanted on your part. So to avoid these like unwanted societal expectations, maybe best just to be gay. But of course, like if you want children, then it's like pretty much a no-brainer. Like you should do the straight relationship, probably.
And you find that the deontological perspective or the obligation side of like, hey, not everyone can do this. If everyone were to just choose a relationship that is not able to naturally procreate and would need external means, so like a surrogate mother, for example, that isn't necessarily a reason to discount homosexual unions.
I'm
Am
not
I
sure why it
hearing
would
that
be.
right?
Well, okay,
Okay.
here's my understanding of the Kant's universalization criteria, especially how it's applied to something like being gay. Let's say the end that you hold is like, I don't know, like pleasure, and then the act is gay sex. So if we universalize this, let's say everybody was having gay sex all the time for the end of pleasure, well, you could still achieve the end because there would certainly be the pleasure there. You could still continue to do the action, and then the connection between the two of them seems to still stay the same. That in virtue of having gay sex, you're still capable of generating the end of pleasure.
And that
It just
other
passes
end
the
is not
universalization criteria, right? Like, if you're saying that there's like some other end that everyone holds, you'd probably need to give like an argument for it.
Yeah, and with 60 seconds left, I probably you said 3 to 6 EST.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Hey, pleasure talking with you, man. I wish
Yep.
you well.
Hey, yeah, you too. Thanks so much for coming on up. I see we have this person, so maybe I'll do one more. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Ian.
Yep. How you doing? How old are you?
Doing well. Doing well. I'm gonna dumb this down. I know my conversation surely won't be as lofty and as academic as yours have been. So if you could be a little pointed with me, I would appreciate it for my part.
That's fine.
Could you list maybe 3 sexual acts that you know that are absolutely wrong?
Yeah, we could do race play. I think in the bedroom, like saying like racial slurs for sexual pleasure. I don't think you should do that. Even if your partner is that race, I don't think you should do that. Rape. I don't think you should rape. I think rape is wrong. That's forced. That's bad. And then maybe like bestiality. I don't think animals can consent, so I don't think that you should do that.
Okay. So consent is an essential. Sounds like it's somewhat foundational in your moral compass. Is that 2 people have to agree? So
Necessary but not sufficient. Yeah.
okay. So it would be wrong if an 18-year-old man pursued a 10-year-old child, even though
Yeah.
they're both male. They're both male.
Yep.
So because consent is not. So it's not a man to man. It's a. So am I right in saying that consent is? I think I said it already, but like foundational to your understanding of what right and wrong is?
It's certainly important. So in terms of determining whether or not like a sex act is acceptable, it needs to be consensual, but I'm not sure that if it's consensual, that means it's automatically okay. Like an example I gave earlier of like race play. Let's say your partner wants you to call them like racial slurs in the bedroom for sexual arousal, and everyone's consenting. I still don't think you should do that. I think that that's like bad. I think that makes you a worse person if you're calling your partner racial slurs, even if they consent to it. So everyone can be consenting, and I'd still think that it's not great.
Yeah. So you think you stated bestiality is wrong. Pedophilia is wrong.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's because the assumption is one person is older than the other, is grooming, so there's some kind of manipulation involved, and the child doesn't know they're being manipulated.
Yeah.
Okay, so if an 18-year-old is attracted to a 10-year-old, that's wrong. If an 18-year-old is attracted to a 15-year-old, that's wrong. If an 18-year-old is attracted to an 18-year-old, that's wrong.
I'm not sure I'd say that like an 18-year-old attracted to like an 18-year-old is wrong. Just that I think that there's like I think with edge cases it gets like tricky, but I do think pretty clearly that if you're an 18-year-old, as the age gets lower of the person that you're attracted to, it very quickly starts to become not permissible to act on that.
Yeah. Because the assumption is they're being manipulated, or an adult could say, I want to be manipulated, and that's right.
Can you elaborate on that? I'm not really sure what it means to say like an adult wants to get manipulated. Presumably,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah. Well,
can't want to get manipulated.
if you're pursuing a relationship strictly for pleasure, sexual pleasure, where there's no genuinely it's just pleasure, so you're allowing yourself to be manipulated, and as both of you agree to be manipulative towards each other, then as long as that pleasure is accomplished, then in your eyes it's considered good.
So, two things. First of all, I'm not sure that I would classify that as manipulation. And the second thing is that I don't think that I kind of said this earlier. I don't think that something being like a consensual sexual interaction means that it's automatically acceptable or automatically good. I think that you can have consensual sexual interactions that are nevertheless morally impermissible because there's like some other feature that's wrong about them.
Okay, so if I were to take the word wrong and be a little more pointed, is wrong equal to evil in your eyes, where an 18-year-old coerces and grooms a 5-year-old? Is that evil in your eyes, or is that just wrong?
I'm not sure I'd draw a distinction. Like, certainly I think that that's evil. I'd also think that it's wrong.
Okay, so evil does
Maybe
exist.
evil, maybe I want to say evil
Yeah,
is like a character trait.
Well,
Like,
evil in and of itself is a spirit, right? So my question to you was, it's spirit driven, which means it uses a host to accomplish its pleasure, and it manipulates others for the sake of pleasure. So I was just curious if the word evil was ever a part of what you consider sexual acts to be wrong.
certainly
Where
a sexual act can be evil, but I don't, I certainly don't grant that sex is like, that evil is like a spirit.
oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just and I think that's maybe where the road splits, because if evil is a spirit, it has an origin, right? It has a basis, it has a beginning. Like everything has a beginning. And
I
so
don't grant that evil is a spirit.
no, it's not personified. It's
I-
not a person
There are people who have evil character traits.
that yield to evil. Yes, I agree. So the yielding to evil it produces a host in which evil can move through 100%. Like just like good, just like you don't think so?
I don't think so.
Huh.
Yeah. I think that what evil to me refers to is people who are like disposed towards not properly valuing things.
Huh. So if a person can be a thing though, and so they cannot value a child and want to manipulate it for pleasure's sake. So you think that's just in them from the time they're born? They're born that way?
I don't necessarily know if I think that. Certainly there are going to be people who feel those attractions that are born that way, and then I think that they just have like a, oh wait, there's like a huge echo. Do you have headphones by chance?
No, sir.
It's very like echoey.
Yeah, no, I haven't changed anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that there probably are some people who are like born that way. You know, I think that that's like a shitty hand to be dealt. I think probably what you do at that point is get like, I don't know, you get like your libido suppressed, and then you just don't experience sexual attraction. So you guarantee that you're never going to like go and like assault a child. You know, I also think that it's possible that somebody could maybe like develop those sorts of attractions.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably
saying that-
complicated.
well, I think it probably is, and I think when we step into what we consider the spirit realm, then I because I don't want to get like mystical, and that's not the point of me at least bringing it up. I think it's just recognizing that our nature is selfish, and our nature is selfish, and we can either yield to that and whatever it desires, or we can turn from that. So if there's evil, like you say, then you cannot have presence of evil without having the presence of God in the same room. They're opposed to each other. Well, I don't know, you're shaking your head, but you said evil very clearly. And so you cannot have evil without the presence of God. Like it just doesn't happen. It just can't happen. It's like saying, I'm not sure why you're shaking your head.
I don't grant that.
So evil exists above a God of any kind, and evil is the primary means of life. So
Yeah.
evil creates life,
No.
or at least evil destroys life.
Evil certainly can destroy life. I don't grant that God is like necessary for evil to exist.
So evil is what drives you, because or me, because that's the only spirit that is,
I don't think that any spirits exist.
except for evil.
I don't grant that evil is like spirit.
Huh. So you've never sensed an evil presence in your room?
No.
Huh. Okay. Well, I appreciate your honesty. What I have learned is that typically experiencing evil is only experienced when you're opposed to it.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're apart,
Okay.
and so you don't know.
I mean, your implication that I must be like a part of evil
No,
isn't.
no, Ian. I'm gonna make sure I'm real clear. Like I've like my nature is self, right? Self pleasure, self will. Like that's my nature, and I'll do anything to get it. To be honest, and I can refine my thoughts and my patterns and my ways as much as possible until I want to manipulate a situation so where I can gain. Like that's just my nature, right? So, and in relationships, that's no different. It's no different. It's even more heightened because personal self pleasure is like the ultimate drug. It just is. There's nothing higher than a sexual experience. Like there's not. And you can put something in your veins. I get it, but in terms of pleasure, there isn't a higher pleasure in the natural. And so my self will, my desire is that I'm satisfied. That's my nature. So I'm not. This is not Ian on a fence post without me being right next to you. Like I'm just saying that's our nature.
Okay.
And so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily true. So
Huh.
I think that there's wait, so I might mute you because of the echo, but you're more than welcome to unmute after. We can just go back and forth. So okay. I don't think that we are intrinsically by our very nature selfish. I think that our starting point is going to be something that's selfish, but I think that something that's beautiful about like growing in your understanding of things, about what matters and what doesn't matter, is that through growing in your understanding of what matters and like the relation that you stand in with other people who exist in the world, through my development of the way that I impact my friends and my friends impact me, I come to value my friends not towards a selfish desire within myself, but just because I recognize that they're intrinsically valuable. By deepening my understanding, I recognize the true value that they have, which is something that they have regardless of whether or not they are my friend. We need to value people intrinsically. And I think that that's like the sort of understanding you can come to from reflecting on the nature of ethics and value.
Value is something that increases the how do I, and again, I'm not as versed as you are from a verbiage perspective, but you increase in value, right? And so that means you have high morals, you have high standards, right? You guard those among your friends. And I think true friends ultimately are not afraid to tell the truth to each other, even when it's difficult. And so I started the conversation just by asking if there was something that you could verbalize that was clearly wrong.
Yeah.
And you added evil to it because you recognize it's so unfathomable that somebody has that desire that it's almost not natural. So if it's not natural, if it's not natural for a man to be attracted to a 4-year-old, then it's unnatural. Or it could be supernatural in regarding beyond the natural. There's a spirit that's leading someone, and the other person can yield to it or reject it, or they can embrace it and say, that's just what I desire. And so that's why I think it's impossible to have this conversation honestly. And when I say the word spirit, I want to be very, very specific with this, is that spirits have origins. And just like a song has an origin, and every song has an origin. You can hear the lyric and you're like, oh, I know who that is. We know who wrote it. We know who composed it. we know the impact it has on us as the words and the lyrics fall upon us. And so when it comes to songs that come from the heart of people that are sexual in nature, that are evil, as you said, there's an origin for that desire that moves through somebody to help them accomplish their selfish goals and gain. And we even have laws to protect people against these kinds of things that they cannot bridle themselves. So we establish laws to help them understand this is wrong. And if you do this, there's a physical consequence, because that's all that we can measure. That's all that we can not judge, but that's all that we can that's all the authority we have over the person, to establish a law for them to see that this is wrong, and we're going to have to lock you up and separate you because you're not choosing to yield and to war or to thwart against that spirit. You're saying, I agree with it. So we're going to have to establish manly laws to ensure that when you do it, you know that it's something that is wrong. So we're going to jail pedophiles. We're going to jail people that are raped.
Mhm.
We're going to jail people that
Ooh,
are sexually assaulted.
people who are
because
rapists.
because
Okay.
they can't stop. So they're going to be considered a sexual offender. We're going to put them in a database. Like, we're going to let people know that they're not yielding to the good. They're submitting themselves to the evil, which we have to physically lock them in a place to keep them from doing what they are yielding to.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm not really sure what your point is.
Well, I just, before I end the call, I just wanted to be honest about, and I say be honest, but like, to at some point in time consider spirit good, spirit evil. And I know you're shaking your head. I know you agree that evil exists.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think it's interesting that you agree to the lesser spirit or to the lesser evil, but not to the greater. And I just think that's really interesting that you will accept evil exists, but at least up until this point in this conversation,
Yep.
have chosen to say that, well, either there is no God or you don't believe in God. And those are two different things. The difference between there is a God, but I don't believe in him, or I don't believe there is, no matter what you say. Either way, it's a choice. I was just curious what your thoughts were as we end the call on that part.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't see
Is there-
any reason to think that, evil is like a type of spirit. I think that
Okay.
you can have things like evil that exist that are natural, not like supernatural.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
think that we need God to explain these things. So I don't know.
Well, we either struggle with we don't want to, like we don't want to. That's different than God is. I can wrestle with him internally and never confess it, because then if I confess it, then I would go against everything I've ever said, and that would mean my life would change. But I don't want to do that, because I like what I have. I like where I'm at, I like my friends, and I don't want that to change. And I get it. Like, I understand that. My question was, and I'll end with this. Is it your belief that God doesn't exist, or is it your belief that he may exist? I just don't want to believe in him. I think those are two different
yeah,
things.
it's my belief that he doesn't exist
Okay. And why do you use the word he the last 6 times, referring to God?
because that's the same word that you used.
Oh, okay. So you're taking what I'm saying, and you're not speaking for yourself.
I'm answering the question in the same terms that was posed.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, Ian, I appreciate the conversation, man. I've never been on one of these. I'm an older guy, kind of just hanging out after I got my car washed, and I saw there is nothing wrong with being gay, and I was like, okay, well, let me ask a few questions. But I appreciate your time, man. And if I ever see you again, I'll roll up and
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, make sure that you have headphones. You have a pretty bad echo, but nevertheless, I
Okay.
appreciate the conversation. Thanks for coming up.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye-bye. All right, I'll do one more. Welcome all the B Raiders. Welcome. Hey, how's it going, Deacon Blue? Are you there? The fuck? Are you in like a treasure chest? Trying to like thrashing your way out? Deacon Blue? Okay. Well, anyway, let's read some supers. Helping MAGA Deconstruct, thanks so much for the $5 super chat. Here are some memberships to combat the brain rot. Rock hard for Doug, sinfully wet for Sharon, and may Puff bless you all. Thanks so much for the 10 gifted memberships, helping MAGA Deconstruct. I appreciate it. Big W. Missing Zero, thanks so much for the 5 Canuck bucks. Take a shot every time Ian announces the wrong stream topic. You would have only taken 1 shot so far this stream. Missing Zero, that wouldn't be a good drinking game at all. Helping MAGA Deconstruct, thanks so much for super chat. Will the dinner bell save us from misused Kant? I was like wondering whether or not I'd be able to pull up my my copy of Course Guards Creating the Kingdom of Ends, but it's definitely in my car's trunk. I don't know. It's I bring books everywhere with me, and then sometimes I like leave them places, and sometimes the place that I leave them is my car. So I have like I want to say I have like 4 or 5 books that are just in my car, and Christine Korsgaard's Creating the Kingdom of Ends is one of them. So I couldn't bring it up, sadly. Bethos, thanks so much for the super chat. If getting kids is more important than personal freedom as anti-gay arguments, why would it not also be pro-rape? Any Christian ever reply? Yeah, I think that argument probably goes through that. If you're of the opinion that we should prioritize things like procreation over personal freedom, I guess it's not clear, because to me, like the wrong maker in a scenario like rape is obviously the violation of like personal autonomy. It's like the deprivation of freedom. That's like the wrong thing there. So, but if what you value more than freedom is kids, I'm actually not sure what you would say. I'm not sure why you could think that that's wrong. Genji, thanks so much for the super chat. I have never met anyone who is into Evo Psych that I would consider a normal, well-adjusted person. I agree. That's my understanding is that it's like basically bullshit. Garbage Man, thanks so much for the 5 Canuck bucks. Somehow denying telos is more ridiculous than claiming the telos at the hands can be dashing babies against rocks. True. Dashing babies against the rocks in line with the hands telos. Giving your homie a hand job? Strictly forbidden. Bethos, thanks so much for the super chat. Doing not everything to procreate would imply masturbation is lesser good too. I bet Caller does it though. That's true. Helping MAGA Deconstruct, thanks so much for the super chat. Sunday school manipulated the caller to be ignorant. Helping MAGA Deconstruct, thanks so much for the super chat. The caller needs to see a therapist. Virtuous Pat, thanks so much for the super chat. I'm perplexed that this guy thinks morality is motivated by magic and spirits possessing people. Yeah, pretty crazy view. It's not clear how people could change their mind about ethics. Like, for example, I changed my mind about vegan ethics. You know, I fucking love the taste of meat. But I'm pretty convinced that if you think animal abuse is bad, I think it's like pretty hard to avoid the conclusion that veganism is true. Young Slump God, thanks so much for the super chat. This guy's beliefs are insane, LMAO. What point is he trying to make? I don't know. Don't even know. Waffle Thief, thanks so much for the super chat. This is for everyone's therapy. It feels like almost everyone today has been at least a little unhinged and non-tracking. That's true. This topic contains not multitudes. It contains like a monad of like pretty stupid people. There aren't really intelligent people that disagree with this. Typically, if there's like an intelligent person that comes up, they'll just like derail straight to like the Bible. And then they'll just have like the Bible debate. You know, I just don't think that there are like any good reasons to think that being gay is wrong, pretty obviously. Oh, okay, wait. Young Slump God, thanks so much for the super chat. Bro is wilding. True. Mr. Peiko, thanks so much for the $20 super chat. I hope everyone's Rosalind Hurst House maxing and having a happy pride. You should be reading Rosalind Hurst-House's On Virtue Ethics for the book club. It's this Sunday. No, fuck, I'm sorry. I fucked up. I blew it. I whiffed it. It's this Saturday at 8 p.m. EST. The introduction. You got to read the introduction. It goes over like a little history of ethics up to that point. Yeah, 2 shots. It's Rosalind Hurst-House's On Virtue Ethics in the Discord, discord.gg/allegedly Ian. We would love to see you there. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. Grimmy, thanks so much for the super chat. Most things / people considered evil are just unfortunate events or those perpetuating misfortune. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Lloyd, thanks so much for the super chat. How is morality objective? Prove other agents exist. The fuck? Under this standard, you just shouldn't have any friends either, right? Like if you're saying like deduce for me that other agents exist, well, fuck, dude. I mean, under that standard, you'd actually you might even run into self-defeat there, because if that's the standard that you're holding such that you don't have to universalize the criteria, well, from the other agent's perspective, then you're not an agent. So then you would contradict yourself in claiming both the right to freedom and well-being the right to freedom and well-being for yourself, but then also you would need to permit other agents from coming in there, or other agents from coming in there and like fucking your shit up. Also, if they're not agents, then you can't make moral claims against them. So that's the other way that it's self-defeating, is that you can't even say that other people shouldn't interfere with your freedom and well-being because you don't even think that they have autonomy. So yeah, it's a self-defeating standard, or self-defeating critique, I think. All right. Jonathan, thanks so much for the super chat. YouTube won't notify me when your stream starts, hopefully sending you money without them stings just a tiny bit. I appreciate that, because these evil fucks will these evil fucks over at YouTube take like 30% of it. I appreciate it getting sent to Cash App. I do appreciate that. Grimlock, thanks so much for the super chat. How problematic do I seem? 1 to 10, honest answer. Like a 7. Or wait, problematic? I don't know if problematic. Like problematic in like the getting canceled kind of way. Maybe like a 1 or a 2. But like problematic, like a freak. I thought you did like some sort of like sex toy business. So maybe like a 7. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, do we have anything else? I'll see you all at book club. Is Justin live? I bet that fuck over at Deconstruction Zone is live. He must be. Is he not? That's so sad. Okay. Anyway, later. I'm leaving. I'm booking it.